assuming you've heard about NetHack, but you're not even really sure about how to get it. So first you're going to go to nethack.org. You're going to go down here. You're going to click where it says click here for information on version 3.6.6. Then you can click download NetHack 3.6.6 here. And here's the official binary release for Windows. I'm not going to go into how to get NetHack for Mac or Linux. Besides to say that there are ways to do it. It's not too hard to do. And we're actually going to be playing NetHack on one of the online servers, alt.org. And I'll show you how to do that. I'm also not going to go into how to configure PuTTY, which would be your method for connecting to NetHack servers via Windows, because I don't have Windows and I can't really show you. I think there's some pretty good tutorials you can find online about how to connect to NetHack on alt.org using PuTTY, but I'll show you how to do it with the terminal. So on Mac or Linux, you should be able to open your terminal. With Mac, it's just called terminal. And you're going to get a prompt that looks something like this. And all you're going to do is, hey, Torpedanima, wish there were more of these games. Definitely tough to get into. Took me quite a few tries and streams before I even attempted to play. Still suck, but have fun. Great. Been playing Xenomarine a lot lately. Xenomarine, is that the XCOM clone? I think that's what that is. XCOM is great. I like that game a lot. So when you get to your terminal or in PuTTY, it's gonna be a little different in PuTTY. But for Mac or Linux, you get to your terminal and you're just going to type SSH NetHack at alt.org. The first time you connect, it's going to give you a little kind of scary looking message. I don't think it's going to give me that message, but it's going to say, are you sure you want to connect? That's fine. It's just a message that is telling you, your computer thinks the server has a certain IP address, and just to make sure that you think that's okay. So you hit enter, and then you're going to come to a screen that looks a lot like this. And we're just going to, so you would just register a new user. So you click R to register a new user. I've already registered a user for this playthrough. So after you register a user, you're just gonna type L for login, and you're gonna type your username. So in this case, it's overexplained. And let me just turn off my keyboard here and put my password in. And then you'll get to this screen here where it says logged in as overexplained, or whatever your username is. Let's turn my keyboard back on. And so now you're at this screen, and you're just going to type P for play NetHack 3.6.6, which is the latest version. And you get to this screen, and you're going to hit P again just to enter NetHack. So this is what you're presented with, whether you're playing this game on the server or if you're playing this game locally. You'll just get this message here. It'll say, shall I pick character's race, role, gender, and alignment for you? And we're going to say no. We're actually going to be picking our role and race here. And we're going to do it, we're going to pick what I consider the easiest character class, role, and race combination to ascend with. So we're going here for role, we're going to type V for Valkyrie. And then here we're going to type D for dwarf. So, and that is going to make us a lawful dwarven Valkyrie. Some people prefer human. You can do a human Valkyrie. There are some advantages to humans over dwarves. But dwarves are largely considered the most powerful or easiest early game. But make sure if you choose a human Valkyrie to make sure it's lawful and not neutral. And when we get to that point, I'll explain why. And then we're just going to hit enter here for yes, start game. And so this is the initial intro text. It is written in the book of Tyr. Tyr is your god, the god of the lawful Valkyrie. After the creation, the cruel god Moloch rebelled against the authority of Marduk, the creator. Moloch stole from Marduk the most powerful of all the artifacts of the gods, the amulet of Yendor, and he hid it in the dark cavities of Gehenna, the underworld, where he now lurks and bides his time. Your god Tyr seeks to possess the amulet, and with it to gain deserved ascendance over the other gods. You, a newly trained stripling, that's a first level Valkyrie, have been heralded from birth as the instrument of Tyr. You're destined to recover the amulet for your deity or die in the attempt. Your hour of destiny has come for the sake of us all. Go bravely with Tyr. And the note says more. And here you're just going to hit, when you get these more messages, just hit any button here to get out of that. Lurking for a bit. What's the advantage to human? I heard of infravision on dwarf. The advantage of human is that you can use a powerful scroll called Genocide to genocide all humanoid types, which includes a very dangerous creature, Mind Flayers. You can do this as a human safely, but humanoids include dwarves. So if you genocide all Mind Flayers and you are a dwarf, you will kill yourself. So I think that's the primary reason to choose human over dwarf. But dwarves have infravision, which is useful, and also they're not attacked by dwarves as frequently as humans, so that will come into play. So it says, Willkommen, overexplained. Welcome to NetHack. You are a lawful dwarven Valkyrie. More. Okay, so what are we looking at here? First of all, hands off the keyboard. Just realize this is a turn-based game. So as long as I don't hit any movement keys, as long as I don't take any actions, nothing else is going to happen. So that's a nice thing about NetHack. You have as much time as you want to sort of figure out what you're doing here. So let's just take a look at the interface. We'll start down at the bottom here. So first of all, you have down here, you have overexplained the stripling. Actually, I'm going to put my cursor on here. Is that working? Yeah. So this is just the name of the character, and it's on top of a bar here, which is your current hit points visualized. So as you get hurt, this bar is going to go down. And it's also your hit points, current hit points is also represented numerically below here, where it says HP 1818. So this gives you your maximum and your current hit points. When your hit points gets down to 0, you die, and it's game over. And Dayflower asks, is this with the default RC file? And yes, this is a default RC file, and we'll go into some changes, which I will recommend that you do. We're not going to fully customize it, only do what's absolutely necessary. So I'm going to get back to hit points. Here to the right of your name are your attributes. So this is using the AD&D first edition attribute system. So it's going to be a little different than you're used to. If you play a recent version of Dungeons and Dragons, this is going to be a little bit different. So first of all, you have ST for strength. So this attribute goes from, all the attributes go from, say, 3 up to 25, but you're going to have different racial maximums. Because we're a Valkyrie and a dwarf, you'll see we actually have more than 18 strength here. So our base score is 18, but then there's a /02. That's a percentile point. So this is an additional strength over 18, and we have 2 points out of 100 over 18. So it's sort of a complicated, archaic system from AD&D. first edition. And I'll sort of talk about that when it comes into play. For now, just know that having a strength which is higher than, say, 15 is going to give you benefits to damage and to hit. Next, you have Dexterity. Dexterity is not used for a whole lot in NetHack. There's a few things that it's used for, throwing potions. We'll talk about it if it comes up. The third attribute is Constitution. This is actually 14, which is low for a Dwarf Valkyrie. We want to see this high. If I was really min-maxing, I would actually quit this and start again and try and get a Constitution of 18 or 19. Constitution is really important. Primarily, it increases the number of hit points you get every level. And hit points is a very important stat because when your hit points goes to 0, it's game over. And this game has permadeath. So if you die, that's it. You have to start from the beginning and start a new character. Next, you have Intelligence, IN. We have Intelligence of 9. Intelligence is going to be important if you're a spellcaster. Some other reasons that we might need Intelligence. We're not going to be playing with spells this playthrough, so Intelligence is pretty much not very useful. Maybe with the exception of, we already talked about Mind Flayers earlier. Mind Flayers eat your brain, and having more Intelligence means it's going to take them longer to eat all your brain. Next is Wisdom. So our Wisdom is currently 12. There's various reasons to have good Wisdom. I think you can find secret passages quicker. Again, it's not terribly important for us as a Valkyrie. And finally, we have Charisma. So this is like how well liked you are. We have a Charisma of 9. And this is going to affect the prices that shopkeepers will sell things to you for. Finally, we have our alignment. So alignments are going to be lawful, neutral, or chaotic. This is a very important attribute, actually. This changes a lot of things in the game. And we'll sort of talk about those things as they come up. But a lawful Valkyries is going to be the preferred type of Valkyrie for a newer player. And we'll talk about that when it comes up. All right, next line, we have Dungeon Level 1. So DLVL stands for Dungeon Level. And that just tells us what level of the dungeon are we on. Currently, we're on Dungeon Level 1. Next, we have a little cash symbol here with a 0. That's how much gold we have in our inventory. That's going to be how much gold we have in our open inventory, not including anything we put into a bag. Next, we already talked about hit points. So hit points when we take damage from monsters is going to go down. If it ever hits 0, we are dead. Next is power. So PW. This is sort of like mana in other systems, but it's going to be what we spend to cast spells. And we're not going to be using spells this playthrough, so that's, again, not going to be a very important stat for us. Next is armor class, AC. So armor class is how hard it is for us to be hit. And because we're using the Dungeons & Dragons, the AD&D first edition rules, a lower armor class is better. So a completely naked and unarmored character is going to have an armor class of 10. And then the more armor you have, it's going to go lower and lower till it's 0. And then it can even go into the negatives. So sort of late game, you might find armor classes of like -20 or -30 even. And that's a very important stat. And one of our early goals is going to be to get better armor. Next up is XP. This is our experience point, our level. So currently we are level 1. We are a level 1 Valkyrie. When your levels go up, various good things happen. Our hit points go up. We can increase skills. Various things happen. And finally, you see T1. So that's the turn of the game. Currently, we're in the first turn of the game. Nothing has happened yet. And during this entire time that I've been talking, that count has not gone up because we've not taken any actions. All right, so that's the status bar. But then, so what's up here? Like, what's all this then? And yeah, we're gonna go into it. So first of all, you have this little @ symbol right here. This little @ symbol, that's you. That's your character, regardless of what class or race or anything that you are. In vanilla NetHack, you're always going to be that little @ symbol. And in this, in my terminal, that @ symbol is sort of highlighted in a white block. That might not be the case in your terminal, but yeah, the @ symbol is going to be you, and there might be an underline there or some other thing. Immediately down and to our right, there is an F, and the F is highlighted. That is our pet cat. So if you don't change the initial settings, you're going to get either a pet cat or a pet dog. So F stands for feline. So any lowercase f like this is going to be some sort of cat-like creature, be it a cat or a kitten, a tiger, a panther, displacer beast, all kinds of stuff. In this case, it's a kitten, and it's tame, and that's why it's highlighted. And one thing which I will show you right away here, if you hit the / key, and that's going to be on a US keyboard down by your right shift key. So we're going to hit that once, and it's going to bring up this menu here. What do you want to look at? And there's going to be a lot of different options here. But if you hit the / again, so if you hit / it'll say, please move the cursor to an unknown object, more. Hit the space bar. If you ever see more, just hit any key there. And now we can use your numpad to move that highlighting cursor around. And you'll see in the upper left-hand corner here, whatever's highlighted, it's going to tell what it is. So we're going to move it over to that F there, and it says tame kitten. And then you'll notice that all these dots, it says floor of a room. So if you just see those dots, that just means it's a empty floor. We'll move it over here, and you'll see that blue left bracket, curly bracket, is a fountain. Fountains are actually pretty useful, but not in the first, say, 5 levels, character levels. So we're going to ignore that for now, and we'll come back to that. This little cash symbol, gold cash symbol, is some gold pieces on the floor. And moving over here, that red % sign stands for any kind of food, something that you can eat. And it's a red piece of food, it's an apple. So we're in a room. All these either horizontal or vertical lines here are walls. Sorry about that. I'm going to go back. This plus sign that's brown here is a door. It's currently closed. Over here we have a doorway. There's no door in that door. Yeah, so now to start the game, you can use the numpad to move around. So I already moved twice there. So I'm going to use the numpad. I'm going to actually push numpad left. And each time we move, you'll notice the T down below here is incrementing. So turns are passing as we move. So we move over here to where it's to the gold. It says you see here 4 gold pieces. We can pick it up by using the comma. So we're going to hit comma, and we pick up the 4 gold pieces. Now where to go? You can see down here in our status bar, our gold counter has gone up by 4. But in addition, we can push the I key. So you push I, and it's going to open up your inventory. And you'll see everything that we started with. So on the top there, you see coins, and you see we have 4 gold pieces that we just picked up. You'll see there's a weapons category. So we have a +0 dagger, which is not currently wielded, and a +1 longsword, which is our current weapon in hand. Armor, we have just an uncursed +3 small shield. So a small shield gives us 1 armor class. The fact that it's enchanted with a +3 enchantment means it gives a total of +4 armor class. So if you remember, I told you a totally naked starting character would have a 10 AC. So we start with 10, and then that subtracts 4 from it. So that's why we have a 6. And we start with 1 comestible, one thing we can eat, which is an uncursed food ration. So again, just hit spacebar or whatever to get out of that menu. So we can continue to use our numpad here, and you can move diagonally too. So the 4 cardinal directions are on the numpad are 4, 8, 6, and 2. But you can also move diagonally using the 1, 7, 9, and 3, and that's very important. So we're gonna hit the 1 key here to go diagonally down, and then we're gonna hit the 4 key to go over to the apple. And again, we can hit the comma to just pick it up. Now you may have noticed that when we moved off of our starting space, we revealed something over there. So we can take a look at that. So again, I'm hitting ///. So this less than symbol is a staircase up. So sort of like a less than symbol or a greater than symbol. A less than symbol is going to bring you up one floor, and a greater than symbol is going to give you down 1 floor. Currently, we're at dungeon level 1. So if we were to go up the staircase, we would actually escape the dungeon and end the game. So we don't want to do that. You do want to check if you're going upstairs that you're not accidentally leaving the dungeon, although it will give you a warning. But we are looking for the downstairs, which will be a greater than symbol. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is explore the dungeon. I do want to talk a little bit about our overarching goals in the early game. I do have so bring this up here. So we already talked about how to get NetHack. So go to nethack.org. It's free. Download it. Or use PuTTY or a terminal and just type SSH NetHack at alt.org. Either of those ways, you're going to be able to play NetHack. So here I have early game goals. So I've sort of put a few things here. This is not exhaustive, but our first goal is to survive. Again, if we die, that's the end of the game. We have to restart from the beginning. So the only way to win the game, the only way to ascend is to stay alive. Early game goals, as a Valkyrie, we want to get to XP level 5. And I'll talk about that when we get there, but that's sort of considered early game. We just want to gain 5 levels. We want to increase our armor class or decrease our armor class, really, get better armor. That's going to greatly improve our survivability. Currently, we only have that small shield. And we want to explore all early levels. So there's a few things that we could find in these early levels that would be very, very useful. So we're going to fully explore these levels, and in our goals is to get up to XP level 5 and also just to find some of these really useful things. Another thing to point out is that there is a nutrition stat, which is hidden. So every time you spend a turn, your nutrition stat is ticking down. And so you get hungry, eventually you will starve to death. So you do need to watch that. We do have 1 food ration. Again, pushing I here brings up our inventory, and you'll see now we have an apple and a food ration, both of which will increase our nutrition if we eat it. But that's sort of like a timer that is forcing us to progress in the game. We can't stay in one spot forever. We have to sort of keep pushing onward. So I'm going to head over to that open doorway and see what we find here. So I'm just going to move over there. And now you'll see a hash mark. So hash marks are dark corridors. In fact, we can, again, // just move the cursor over there. And you'll see it says lit corridor. So currently it's lit, I guess, by the room, but it's darker than the room, which you'll see in a second here. So we're going to move into that corridor, and you'll see you only reveal one space away from us in terms of the corridor. So now we're at a T branch, so we can either go to the right or the left. So I'm going to pick the left here. We sort of have some idea that the right branch there is going to go back to that door. We'll probably check that out later. So down to the left, and all of a sudden there's a brown D. So what's going on here? Why is there a brown D, and why is it floating in space? So again, we can hit that // Let's go check it out. Moving to the right here, and you'll see it's a jackal. All right, so there's a couple of things we have to talk about here. Generally, letters are monsters. They aren't always hostile, but they usually are. If this was a peaceful creature, it would say peaceful. So it would say peaceful jackal. In this case, it is a hostile creature. The reason why we can see it off there in the distance and it looks like it's floating in space is because we're a dwarf. So we're a dwarf. That means we start with infravision, which means we can see in the dark. At least we can see living things that have heat in the dark. So we can sort of see that jackal down that corridor in the dark. Hey, Vipin, welcome. Someone other than Matt Colville streaming NetHack. Yeah, it's been great that Matt's been streaming. I've been watching that quite a bit. I stream NetHack every night, every Wednesday night, rather. So I'm here every Wednesday. And I just started this new series for sort of newer players. So, hey, and a new follower. Thank you so much, Vipin. I appreciate that. So we're going to go ahead and kill that jackal. Jackals they're not pushovers, but as a Valkyrie, we shouldn't have too much trouble killing this. So we're going to move to the right. And you'll notice that every time that I push to the right, that jackal is going to move to the right as well. So if I push to the right, okay, now we're right next to the jackal. So now that we're next to the jackal, how do we attack this thing? We're actually going to bump into it. So just like we're moving to the right, we're going to push the right arrow on our numpad, and we're going to attack this jackal. So, and right like that, we kill it. So it didn't take any damage, just one swing of our +1 sword there, and that's a dead jackal. And we've gotten some amount of experience points, which is not currently tracked here. I think there's some way to display that, but just to trust me that we're in somewhere between level 1 and level 2 now. So let's continue going to the right here. We've sort of already started going down this passage. Keep pushing 6. We have that door up above, and then we see there's something else here. So there's an X //, and we're going to see what that is. And it's a grid bug. Grid bugs are kind of a joke, or they're very much pushovers. They're not very hard to kill at all. And in fact, an interesting fact about grid bugs is that they do not attack on the diagonal. So if you can keep them on a diagonal from you, then they will not be able to attack you. They can only attack in cardinal directions, which is not normal of creatures. Creatures can normally attack in every direction. Hey, Andrea, welcome. So again, we're going to move over. Grid bugs are actually decent XP, so we're going to move towards it. So we're going to move twice, and then we'll just hit to the right. We miss it. Grid bug bites, you get zapped. So we've lost an HP. Now we're down to 17 out of a max of 18. And you see that this bar here that was white is now green, and we've lost a little bit of HP here. We're still totally fine. We're not in any danger, but we took our first damage of the game. So we're going to hit to the right here again, and we kill the grid bug. Yeah, Torpid, I totally agree. Torpid says, great game for parents who can walk away at any moment. Yeah, it's really, if you can play for a few minutes at a time, and then you just need to take your hands off the keyboard, it's great because the game just pauses for you automatically. Andrea says you can set a show EXP option to show experience point. I will do some customization But I'm trying and keep it as close to default as possible and just change things as I think it's important. So let's keep going down this hallway here. You'll see that our pet cat there, the F that's highlighted, has been following us, which is great. They will actually do a number of things. They will attack monsters. They'll pick things up. So we'll see all that as it happens. I'm going to push up into the right here, sort of cut that corner, and we'll explore up in this direction. Again, I'm going to push up into the right here, and you'll see we're looking into another room here. So this slash here is an open door, and you'll see that there are some periods here. Those are empty floor spaces, and we can see the start of some walls. So this is a room that's lit up that we're sort of peering in from a dark hallway into that lit up room. Vipin says, I've seen some NetHack speedruns on YouTube. Ascend in 90 minutes. No way I can keep up with the action. Yeah. The record is Luxy Dream has ascended in 49 minutes, I believe. So just completely ridiculous. My record is 3 hours 29 minutes, which is much, much slower. We're going to be taking our time on this one. 49 minutes, yeah. So we're going to go into that room. You'll see that there's some gold there. And there's some hash marks up there that are blue. So let's take a look at that with a // You'll see that those are iron bars. So you'll find closets and rooms, and some of them will have doors, and some of them will have iron bars like this. And there are some things you can learn by getting in there. We don't currently have a way to get in there, so we'll ignore it for now. Now, before I go over to pick up the gold there, I want to talk about auto pickup. So rather than going onto that gold and typing the comma key to pick it up manually, I just like to pick up all the gold immediately as I go on to it. So to do that, we're going to hit the @ symbol, which is Shift-2 on my keyboard. You'll see there it says auto pickup on for all objects. So that's good. That means we can go pick up the gold. But I'll tell you right now, you don't want to have auto pickup on for all objects. It's just going to make your life a lot more difficult. So this is the first time we're going to go into options. And this might be a little overwhelming at first, but we'll go through it slow. We can hit Shift-O for options. And there's 6 pages of options here. So like, obviously, we're not going to go over every option. In fact, we're just going to ignore most of them. But I'm going to just take you to the one that we're going to deal with right now. You'll notice here, auto pickup is true. That's because we hit that Shift @ so auto pickup is on. But what we want to do is set the pickup types. So I'm going to hit spacebar to page through here. And we're looking for an option that is pickup types. And so it's going to be under compounds. So this is kind of confusing. It's alphabetical here, but these are all true false options. And then the option we're looking for is actually going to be under the next section here. So we're going to go to page 4. Actually, it's going to be page 5. And you'll see right here on page 5, you'll see pickup types. And then there's an A to the left of it. So we're going to press the A key, and that's going to select, it's going to turn from a minus to a plus there. Or select pickup types. And then we can just continue pushing the space bar and until we get out of this menu. And then it's going to then prompt for what we want to pick up here. So my suggestion, and people might have different suggestions, but my suggestion is that you pick up coins, you pick up amulets, you don't pick up weapons or armor automatically, you don't pick up food automatically, you do pick up scrolls, you don't pick up spell books, You pick up potions, you pick up rings, you pick up wands, and nothing else. Everything else that isn't marked here, we'll pick up manually if we think it's worth taking. And I think I just missed a follow. Thank you so much for that, Senki. Much appreciated. So yeah, this is my suggestion. These are things which are fairly lightweight in general, that you generally want to carry around with you. Very useful. And I would just automatically pick these things up. There are ways you can set more complicated exceptions, rules, but we're not going to get into that in this series. All right, spacebar again gets you out of that. And now if we hit to the right here and we just step on top of the gold, it just says 5 gold pieces. And you'll see that we've picked up those 5 gold. We're up to 9 gold. If I hit I, we have 9 gold. So it picks it up automatically. It doesn't take a turn to do so. So that's actually a pretty big reason to have auto pickup on. You're not spending extra turns picking things up. All right, so we're going to go through this doorway up here, go into this next corridor. Now, one thing to point out, the map can go to the edges here. There's like an invisible border that goes all the way around, basically to the edge of where your screen is. So you can use that to your advantage to sort of realize where a room might be. So there might be a room here, but you'll get to the very edges of the map and you'll start to realize, okay, well, there's likely nothing more to that side because there's not enough room for a room to have been generated. So we're going to go down to the right here, down to the right. Again, we're moving diagonally when we can because it's actually saving time. It's sort of like doing down and to the right, but using only one turn to do it. So it's generally worthwhile to go diagonal if you need to. All right, so we have something new here. So again, / and spacebar. We're going to move up to that, and it's a pair of high boots. So this is a piece of armor, which is great. So now we come to our first NetHack tip here. We have a cat. Armor is not guaranteed to be uncursed. So we're actually going to walk, well, already we've learned something. So I was going to say we're going to walk over next to the high boots there without picking them up. But you'll notice that our cat has stepped on top of the boots, and there's no message here. So the cat just sort of walked over there and didn't complain at all. That means that those boots are not cursed. If you see a message here that says, your kitten reluctantly steps onto the high boots, then you know it's a cursed item. But because the cat stepped on top of those boots without there being any message here, we know those boots are safe to wear. All right, so we're going to do our first pass turn here. We want to get on those boots. We want to wait for our cat to move off of them. So to do that, we're going to hit the S key. There are 2 ways to do this, actually. You can hit the period or you can hit the S key. But in general, you're going to want to use the S key. There's a few niche times when you might not want to search. But in general, if you're passing turns, you might as well be searching. So we're going to hit the S key. And the kitten actually picks up the pair of high boots and walks off. So we're going to have to sort of wait for the kitten to drop those boots before we can put them on. So I'm going to hit S again. I'm going to hit S a couple more times here. And it says the kitten drops a pair of high boots. So now what we can do actually, the kitten is peaceful, actually tame. So we're going to hit the 8 key here, and we actually will swap places with the kitten. So you can displace your kitten because it's a tame kitten. You see here a pair of high boots. We don't auto pick up boots because we don't have that as one of the pickup types. So we're going to hit the comma key and pick up those high boots. And if we hit the I key, again, inventory. Oh, and just to mention here, inventory, looking in your inventory is a 0 turn action. So that's not going to pass any time. So we can hit inventory as much as we need to. And you'll see under armor, we have our small shield and a pair of high boots. But you'll notice here that our small shield is being worn, but the high boots are not. So we need to fix that. So to wear armor, we do capital W. So that's a shift W. And it's going to say, what do you want to wear? F or question mark. We're going to go ahead and do the question mark here. And that's going to display sort of the options. And you'll see that right now there's only one thing that we can wear, which has been assigned the letter F. It's a pair of high boots. Hit spacebar. We're going to press the F key. And it's going to take some time, depending on the armor. So boots might only be a turn or two. A full set of armor is going to be a longer amount of time. But it's going to take some time for it to actually wear that armor. And you'll notice that our armor class has gone down, which is good, from 6 down to 4. So we're harder to hit now. And again, if I hit I there, now both the high boots and the small shield are being worn. So great, we're progressing towards one of our first goals here of decreasing our armor class. So let's continue exploring this level. I'm going to go down, again, using the diagonals whenever we can, and just go down this passage and see what we see. All right, we've hit a dead end here. Now, I don't really believe it. I sort of feel like there should be something here. So I'm looking at the edges of the map here. I'm looking at, like we saw, part of a room down here. And I'm sort of thinking there might be a room down here. So there are both secret passages and there are secret doors. And to find those, you're going to use the S key to search. So we're going to sit here for just a minute, and we're going to, there's a chance every time you push S that you can find something. So I'm going to push S a few times here. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6. And so it took me 6 times, and then it says, you find a hidden door. And I'll show you a trick for that the next time we're searching. But for now, if you just push S a few times, you'll end up finding secret doors in certain times, not always. All right, so it's a door. You can actually push toward the door, I believe. This is actually an option. I don't see if the default is, yeah. So I pushed to the left toward the door, and there's an auto open option, which the default is true. So it actually will try and open the door automatically if you walk into it. And you'll see we have another letter here. Letters are always monsters of some sort. So again, // we're just going to go check that out. And it's a fox. A fox actually can be a dangerous creature for low-level characters that are not Valkyries, but I'm not too concerned as a Valkyrie. So we're going to step in here toward it. It actually didn't move towards us, which is interesting. So now there's something tactical I have to talk about. And the tactical thing, yes, Andrea does mention, I will talk about that when we see one, statues. But we could step here. So let me just get this up for a second here. So we could move here, right? If we move to that spot there, then this fox is going to get a free attack on us. So tactically speaking, it's better not to step towards creatures like that. Instead, let them come to you. So instead of stepping toward the fox, we're going to use that S key again to spend a turn here searching and let the fox come to us. And that's going to let us have a chance to get an attack and potentially kill the fox before it hurts us. So we're going to go ahead and swing at the fox. And again, we're a Valkyrie. We're very strong. We have a +1 longsword, so we kill the fox, no problem. So we're going to step into this room. It looks like there's nothing in this room to speak of. There might be secret doors in here, but we're not going to bother searching for them unless we absolutely have to. So we're just going to move through here and just, there's another doorway here. I do want to mention one thing here about doorways with doors in them. So normally you can go diagonally into a doorway, but in this case, there's an open door in there. So that's that upward slash. And if I try and go, if I hit the 7 key, nothing's going to happen here because I can't move in there diagonally. You can only move into doorways with doors directly from below. And this can be actually pretty important in certain cases. And actually, I'll show you quickly here a way you can defeat that. There may be some case where you really, maybe there's boulders in the way. You really need to get in this doorway, but you can't get in there except from a diagonal. So what we're going to do, we're going to use the C key for close door. We're actually going to push the up and to the left here. And we're going to close that door. And now we're just going to destroy that door. There's a few ways you can destroy the door, but the easiest way to do it, what you start with, is we can kick it. So we use the K key for kick, and we're going to kick up and to the left. And we got it on the first try. That's not always the case, but you kick the door, it crashes open, and all of a sudden we have a open doorway here without a door in it, and we can actually go up and to the left here without having to go in front of the door. So that's just an interesting side note almost, but it could come into play, and I just did want to mention it. And you'll notice another grid bug has come in here. Our kitten might actually kill the grid bug. Remember, it's perfectly safe for us to move to this space to our right here, because the grid bug only attacks in orthogonal, left, right, up, and down directions. So we can move here, and we can actually take a swing at the grid bug here, and we kill it. So that's some more XP for us. All right, so we're going to go back into this doorway here. It turns out it's actually probably a closet. There may be a secret passage here. If there are passages which are just one deep off of rooms, they're most likely to be closets. So it's fairly unlikely that there's going to be a secret passageway here. Closets are just basically corridors of length 1 that are generated off of rooms. So we could search. I'm feeling like there probably is a secret passageway to the left here on this wall. But in the interest of saving our nutrition, I think I'll probably just go back the way we came. There's other corridors we've not yet explored, and so we're going to go like this. And one thing we can do if you want to save time, with a numpad, you push the middle, the 5 key on the numpad, and follow that with a direction. So we can do 5 and then up. And that's going to actually move you in that direction until there's a choice to make. So if it's a passageway, or if you're going across a room, you can use the 5 key followed by a direction to kind of repeat that direction until you reach a decision point. So a monster appears, or there's a turn to make, or you're near a door. It will stop as soon as there's a decision to make. So again, we can go diagonally up and to the left. We can hit the 5 key and the left, and it's going to take us all the way down the corridor, all the way to that doorway where it stops and lets us take control again. So we're going to go down to this doorway to the bottom here and check that out. Again, I can just go diagonally down, and that looks like another closet to me. So we're going to go up. I'm going to actually just go to the open door. Not going to worry about dealing with this closed door. And we're going to go over to this passageway here. We know there's a room down here. So I'm going to go down into that room. And nothing in this room. Looks like there is a passageway going off to the right. There may be a room over there. We could check it out. So let's actually check it out. Another grid bug. I'll actually hit the S key here and let that grid bug come over here. When it's at our diagonal, I'll kill it. It's perfectly safe to kill it from there. And then we'll move diagonally up and over in this direction and explore this area. So it looks like this corridor just goes up to this closed door. You can actually push to the right here. and you'll see the door resists. So even if a door is not locked, there's a chance that you'll fail to open it. So if that happens, just repeat it, and eventually it will open. You'll get a different message if the door is locked, and we'll talk about locked doors when we hit one. I'm going to go around. I'm going to go this way. Let's actually check this door. Yeah, that one's also unlocked. Took me two tries to open it. And we'll go to the left here. I'm actually going to do numpad 5 and then left. And we're going to go all the way over here. And so we've hit another dead end. Again, I don't really believe it. I think there probably is a room. Just thinking about that invisible line off to the left here, there's plenty of room for there to be other rooms here. So my guess is there probably is a room here. So rather than sitting here and hitting, S 5 or 10 times, what we're going to do is we're going to hit the N key. That's for number of times to repeat an action. So N. And then we're going to do 10, 1, 0. And you'll see it'll say count 10. And then we're going to hit S. And actually, it's going to repeat that search action 10 times. So now that's repeated, it's actually searched for 10 times, and we haven't found anything. Now I'm sort of thinking, okay, maybe there actually isn't anything there. So we're going to go back the other way. And we'll check out these other corridors that we haven't yet explored. So we're going to go diagonally down this way. Looks like this corridor goes off back towards that room we've already been in. So let's go down this way. Diagonally down that way. And looks like there's another room over here with some gold in it. So check that out. And there's 4 gold pieces there. And we found the downstairs. Again, // and you'll see there's a staircase down. So, what I didn't actually talk about is what is the overarching goal of the entire game. The intro text did talk about it, but long story short, we're trying to get all the way to the bottom of the dungeon. We're trying to get the Amulet of Yendor. We're trying to take it all the way back up to the top of the dungeon and escape. So that's sort of the basic goal. We're trying to get all the way down to the bottom, get that Amulet of Yendor, and bring it back up. There's a lot of other complexity involved, but that's the basic story. So we're gonna have to use these downstairs. We're gonna have to eventually get down to the bottom. What I'm actually gonna recommend that you do is whenever you find a downstairs, just poke your head down the downstairs. So to go down a downstairs, you're going to type the symbol of the stair. So in this case, it's going to be shift period, which is the greater than symbol. So shift period, and it's going to say you descend the stairs. And you'll see we've actually gone down. Now we're on dungeon level 2, which is down here. Yeah, so down here is dungeon level 2. But I'm going to recommend that you just poke your head down and then you just come right back up. So we're going to do shift less than, you climb up the stairs, and we're going to return back to the level we're at. So there are 2 reasons to kind of do that. Poke your head down to the downstairs and come right back up. The first is that the difficulty of the creatures on the level, as the level is generated, are going to be generated at your current experience level. So currently we're generating level 1 creatures. So we're kind of fixing when that level is procedurally generated, it's going to be generated with level 1 creatures. In fact, there's a combination between your level and the dungeon level is what generates the difficulty of the creatures. So it's going to be like your XP level 1 plus dungeon level 2 that's sort of the class of creature you're going to find there. The second reason is now we know where the upstairs are. If we run into a trap, and there are some traps that are like trap doors that dump you into the level below. If you've already found the upstairs, so you've already sort of poked your head down so you know where the upstairs are, and you fall through a trap door, you'll be able to find your way back to the previous level easier. So while we did that, this grid bug came over. Again, can't attack us from that space, so we can attack up and to the right, and we kill that grid bug. All right, so we're going to go through that doorway and up. It looks like there's another room up here. There's a fox. So we're going to move one more space up. The fox comes to us. So we're going to attack the fox. We kill the fox. And now we have a new creature here. So // and this is a newt. So I said that letters were monsters. It's not just letters. It's actually all letters plus certain symbols, like a colon, a semicolon. It could be a single quotation mark. So there's a bunch of different symbols that could be creatures. And a colon like that is some sort of lizard. So it could be a newt, could be an iguana, could be a fire salamander. In this case, it's just a newt. Newts are sort of the jokes of the NetHack monster world. They're not very difficult to kill. So we're going to go ahead and swing at it. We miss it. It misses us. We're going to swing at it again missing it. And finally, we kill it. And you'll notice that it left a corpse here. So if we move up here, you see here a newt corpse. And I'll tell you right now, newts are one of the creatures which are safe to eat. So I would recommend you just, if there's no other creatures around, just step onto that newt corpse and you're going to want to eat it. It's going to give you some nutrition. It could have additional beneficial effects, but it's going to keep that nutrition stat up. Not everything is safe to eat, and you have to eat corpses when they're fresh. So I would say within 10 turns or so. Actually, someone in chat can tell me exactly what the number is, but just make sure that if you're going to eat a corpse, eat it right away. Don't wander off and forget it and come back and eat it, because corpses will spoil pretty quickly. And if you eat a corpse that has spoiled, it will give you food poisoning and could kill you. But in this case, we killed it just a turn ago. So we're going to go ahead and type the E key. If you're standing on top of a corpse, it will ask you if you want to eat it. So we're going to type Y for yes. And this is going to take a few turns. The newt corpse tastes okay. You finish eating the newt corpse. You feel a mild buzz. So this is one of the beneficial effects of eating newt corpses, which is our power went up from 1 to 2. So we got 1 max mana from that. It's not terribly important for Valkyrie. Andrew says that 10 turns is really conservative, more like 50 turns. So it sounds like you know, if you leave a corpse behind, maybe you have some time. But I would say only eat fresh corpses and don't like wander off and forget it and come back and eat it. Make sure it's something that you just killed recently. Yeah. All right, we're going to move up into this room here. And so this is interesting, actually. That was the, so up here was that passageway we searched 10 times and we never found anything. It looks like there probably, almost certainly is a secret door here. So we could search for it some more. There's no particular reason to search for it because we know where it goes, but it's very likely there was a secret door here. We just didn't find it. So I'm going to go over here and check out this door here. It's not locked. It opens. So we're going to go through that. And it's just a closet. So now we can start looking at the map. It looks like there could be a room here in this space. And there are some passages here that we haven't fully explored. So I'm going to go back and just check that out, see if we've missed a room here. And if not, we're going to continue on to dungeon level 2. So I'm going to go back here. We're going to use that numpad 5 and hit down. It's going to bring us all the way down to the room. And I'm going to just kind of hug this upper part of this corridor here. And we've found another monster here. So it says right here what it is. It's the goblin wields an orcish dagger. So again, you can use / and move up there. And it's a goblin. So goblins are creatures that can wear armor and wield weapons, which is Both of those things are new from things that we've seen. They can be potentially a little dangerous, but as a Valkyrie, we're not terribly concerned about it. So we're going to go ahead and swing at the goblin up to the right here, and one swing we kill it. So again, I'm going to move up into the right here, and you'll see that we found a stack of things. So there's the goblin corpse, and then there's an orcish helm and an orcish dagger. We're going to go ahead and eat that goblin corpse. I'll tell you right now, goblins are safe to eat. I'll point out things that are not safe to eat when I can, and I'll also show you how to look that up on the wiki. But newts and goblins are both safe things to eat. So we're going to go ahead and eat that. Again, pressing E and then the Y key. It takes a few turns, and we're standing on top of that dagger and the orcish helm. So let's go ahead and push the comma key. And it brings up a menu. There's multiple things here. So it's going to ask you which of these things you want to pick up. You can push the A key and the B key here. You can also push the comma to select everything. So if we push comma here, it's actually going to select both at once. Hit enter, and we pick both those things up. Now I'm not going to put the helm on yet because we don't know if it's cursed or not. We'll use our kitten to figure that out. But let's finish exploring this area before we do that. So I'm just sort of hugging this upper corridor here. It looks like there is another passage up this way. So we're going to go up this way. I don't see any passage going off to the left there. There's some possibility that we've missed something, that there is a secret here, but I'm not convinced that there is a room over here. So I'm going to say that let's just move on to dungeon level 2. Oh, and we found a newt. So let's kill that newt, and we're going to eat the newt too. Just going to keep that nutrition score up. Oh, we got another mild buzz. In fact, that time we got quite a few points of power. Nice. Andrea says that the period selects everything and comma selects everything on the current page. All right. So we're going to move here to the downstairs. Now, the kitten's not going to follow us unless it's right next to us when we go down the stairs. So we're actually going to wait one turn using the search key here. And when the kitten moves directly next to us, then we hit the shift down greater than to go down, and then the kitten's going to follow us. Now here we want to check whether those things we picked up are cursed or not. So I'm actually going to move up here, and I'm going to drop the orcish helm. So this is the first time we're dropping anything. We're going to hit the D key for drop. And again, if you don't remember what the letter is, you can use the question mark, and we'll show you your inventory. So we're going to push H for the orcish helm, and it says you drop an orcish helm. So we'll move off of it, and immediately, our kitten's being very helpful here. The kitten jumps right on it. Doesn't complain one bit, so we can be confident that that helmet is not cursed. So we can move to the left here. We'll actually displace the kitten. So it doesn't work all the time, but I'd say most of the time you can move into the kitten and actually swap places with it. And we're going to pick up that orcish helm, again with the comma key. And then we're going to wear it. So again with the capital W, so Shift W. And we're going to wear the H, which is the orcish helm. And you'll see now our AC has gone down from 4 to 3. So it's improved. Lower is better. All right, so now we're going to explore this level. So let's go to the right first here. Again, we'll swap places. You'll see there's a fox coming. We're not too concerned, but we will do the tactic here. We're going to hit the S key and let the fox come to us. In fact, the fox got an attack first. So this is something that will happen. Creatures can be faster than you, so they can actually move and attack. And in this case, the fox actually moved, attacked, and did 2 points of damage to us before we had a chance to act. But that's fine. It's our turn now, so we're going to take a swing, and we actually kill the fox. So we haven't seen gems yet. So asterisks like this are some sort of stone. So in this case, it is a black gem. Gems are either going to be worthless glass, or they're going to be something valuable. You can pick them up. I think it's fine. It can be difficult to take advantage of them, but as long as you're not burdened, we might as well pick it up. So we're going to go in and pick that black gem out. All right, so we're going to continue exploring. There's a room here to the right. I'll hit the 5 key and right. Just move over to that room and we'll peek in. So there are 2 doors here. We'll go ahead and check those doors out. So this one connects to a corridor. Looks like the corridor loops back to that door. And, oh, okay, so we just got ambushed by a creature. This is another one of the colons, which is a lizard type. This is a gecko, which is like a newt, a little bit more powerful. Still not a big problem for a Valkyrie. It did a point of damage to us by biting us, so we're going to swing at it, and we kill it. All right, we'll continue exploring. Hit another door. So closed door, I'm going to push to the right. And we've hit our first locked door. So now we get to talk about locked doors. So there are tools you can use to unlock doors. We don't have any of those tools. Push I here, look at our inventory. You'll see we don't have any tools at all. So we can't unlock the door. What we can do is kick it down. Actually demonstrated that earlier. So we're going to do the K key for kick. And we're going to push to the left and we kick it open. Sometimes it will take multiple kicks, particularly if you're weaker. But in this case, it only took us one kick to open. You'll see there's some sort of food ration or corpse on the floor there. There's also a fountain and some money. And then we have a sound. You hear someone cursing shoplifters. So there can be different sounds that get displayed. And the sounds will give you hints about what's on your current dungeon level. So of course, you hear someone cursing shoplifters means that there's a shop on this floor. If you ever miss one of these messages and you think you saw something, but you're not sure what it was, you can type Control P. So Control P is going to open up your message history. And that will let you sort of look back and see what were the messages that were recent and you know, what did I miss? So that's useful. Shops can be very useful, so it's good to know. Let's check out what this comestible is here. And it's a food ration, which is, so food rations are just your generic, good to eat, good balance of nutrition to weight ratio. They never go bad, just all around good to have. So we'll pick that up. And then we'll go down and pick up this gold, 7 gold pieces. And we're going to leave that fountain alone. That will come in handy later. We'll continue exploring here. Looks like this goes and connects to that corridor up to the right there. And now we're going to go to the left. And we'll see what we can find here. So there's a jackal. Again, we're seeing that jackal down the dark hallway with infravision. So we can just go over and take care of that. In fact, we might want to wait for it, because otherwise it'll get an attack on us. When it comes over, we can swing at it and we can kill it. So nothing we've seen so far. for first level Valkyrie has been terribly dangerous, at least one-on-one. I'll sort of point out creatures which I think are potentially dangerous. All right, so what do we have here? We have a 0. You can actually take a look at that. / /. It's a boulder. Okay, so boulders are really interesting. They block line of sight, but they don't block thrown weapons or missile weapons. You can roll them. So if we move towards it, you'll see with great effort you move the boulder. So we can actually push this down the hall until it's blocked by something. So you can push it a couple times and you'll see it reveals some kind of a T intersection here. So we can stop pushing it there and just go diagonally around it. You'll actually see that there are 2 boulders back to back. And I'm going to go back here. If I push into the boulder again, we're going to get this message. You try to move the boulder, but in vain. That means you've pushed the boulder up against a wall in a corner, or in this case, we've actually pushed the boulder against a second boulder. So we can no longer push it. There'll be various uses for boulders we can talk about later, but for now, they're basically like obstacles that you can push around. All right, so we have our first capital F here. Lowercase f is felines, like our kitten. Capital F are fungi, so various types of fungi. Now, fungi will often have different passive attacks, which means they tend to be sessile, which is a fancy word for that means they don't move, and they don't generally attack actively, but if you attack them, bad things may happen. Andrew says fungi. Thank you. So let's take a look at what this thing is. / and again. So it's a shrieker. So shriekers are quite interesting, actually. They don't do any damage at all. They tend to be quite hard to kill in that they have a good deal of hit points. And when you attack them, they will start to shriek. And what that does is it will wake up any sleeping creatures which are on the same level. We haven't run into any sleeping creatures yet, but there are certain sleeping creatures that can be quite annoying. Shriekers can also be very good, and we'll talk about that. If we can get a corpse from a shrieker, that we would really like to eat it. So let's actually go and try and kill this. So immediately it says the shrieker shrieks. So it's shrieking, it's waking up anything on the level that's asleep. So let's see if we can't kill it. So we hit it once, it shrieks, we hit it again, and it does leave a corpse. So now we get to talk about intrinsics. Intrinsics is just a fancy word for resistances that you innately have. So a shrieker corpse has a small chance, if you eat it, to give you the poison resistance intrinsic. And poison resistance is very, very useful. It's one of the resistances that you're really going to need to win the game. So we're going to go ahead and walk over to that shrieker corpse and just eat it. And we'll see if we get lucky here. The shrieker corpse tastes okay. You finish eating the shrieker corpse, no more message. So if there's no additional message, nothing happened. So we didn't get poison resistance. We just ate it. We got some nutrition from it. That's fine. All right, let's go and open this door up. And we'll keep exploring. I'll hit 5. And so we hit another dead end here. I don't really believe that this is a dead end, so I'm actually going to do N8S. So we search 8 times. We don't find anything, so I'm going to give up for now. We'll go back and we'll check out this other corridor. So it looks like there's a room to the left here. So again, numpad 5 and to the left. And we just go all the way down that dark hall to that room. And again, you hear the chime of a cash register. So we're still looking for that store. And here's a door. We open it and we see another @ symbol. So this is our shop. So if I hit the // you'll see peaceful Anutak. So this is Anotak. So this is a shopkeeper. It's peaceful, so it's not going to attack us. And you'll see there's some food in here. So we're going to step into the shop here. The shopkeeper says, "Willkommen, overexplained. Welcome to Anotak's general store." So there are various types of stores. A general store is sort of the most basic, but also the most useful store. So a general store will both buy and also sell anything. So they don't have any preference. You'll find like arms and like used weapon shops that only do deal with weapons and armor. You'll find like wand shops that deal with wands, or potion shops that deal with potions. And those shopkeepers will only sell and buy those particular items. But a general store will sell and buy anything. So we're going to go in here and sort of check it out. Now, there is a danger in shops, which is there could be mimics here. Shopkeepers are, to be honest, they're kind of swindlers. They're not very nice. They stock their shops with mimics, and if the mimics happen to catch you and kill you, then they'll take all your stuff. That's basically how they stock their wares. So I think somebody mentioned a trick, which is a good trick. So we'll go ahead and talk about that. First of all, we saw the shopkeeper standing on that question mark. And well, let's just go ahead and talk about what these different symbols are for a second. So again, // So up in the left here, it's a scroll. So question marks are scrolls. Scrolls have random labels, which are randomized every game. So we don't really know if this scroll is good or if this scroll is bad yet. Over to the left here, we have a runed broadsword, which is a weapon. There's a fortune cookie. We already saw that. A food ration. There's another gem. There's some darts, some stones. There's a wand. So / like that are wands. There's an egg, and there's a second wand. Now we did notice, you may have noticed that the shopkeeper was standing on that space with the scroll. So we know that's a safe space. We know there's not a mimic there. So I'm going to go ahead and step up on the scroll. You'll notice we don't automatically pick it up. So auto pickup respects the shopkeeper's items and won't automatically pick up anything in a shop. If we want to buy it, we need to pick it up and we need to pay for it before the shopkeeper lets us leave. Now, the trick that I think Torpid Enema mentioned is we can actually throw a gold coin, and that would actually reveal mimics. The gold coin will hit the mimic and they'll be revealed. It's advantageous to throw a gold coin because if you throw a dagger or if you shoot arrows, the shopkeeper will actually claim those to be for themselves. So as soon as that dagger falls to the floor, the shopkeeper will say, "Oh, thank you. I own that now, and you have to buy it back from me." But if you throw gold coins, then the shopkeeper will actually consider that store credit. So that gold coin will be something you can use to buy something in the future, or you can just pick it up again to negate that store credit. So we're actually going to throw a gold coin to the right here and see if we hit a mimic. To do that, we use the T key for throw. So we do T. And then we want to throw just one coin, right? So if you're going to throw just one coin, we're going to push the 1 key. So T1. And then we're going to press the $ symbol. So Shift 4 on my keyboard. And we're going to push to the right. And The gold coin goes all the way to the corner. It's very light. And it just says you have established 1 Zorkmid credit. It didn't hit a mimic, so there's no mimic to that side. We can do the same thing. We can move to the right now. The shopkeeper is sort of in the way, so we can wait for the shopkeeper to move. And again, we can do T1 $sign left, and we throw to the left. So now we know there's no mimic in this store. We didn't hit a mimic. It didn't show up. So we actually go to these gold pieces. We can actually use the comma here and just pick them up. And it will just say your credit is reduced by 1 Zorkmid. So we can pick those things up. You'll notice that we only have 19 gold, so we really can't afford any of this stuff. We could buy an egg, I guess. Eggs are not terribly exciting. So there's something you can do which is called price IDing. Is it always safe to throw a coin? Like, won't it break potions? It won't break potions. Now, it might make the shopkeeper angry. I'm actually not sure about that. Maybe someone in chat can tell. I wouldn't throw a coin at the shopkeeper. But as long as you're not throwing it at the shopkeeper, it's not going to damage anything. So there's something called price IDing. Basically what it means is, given the cost of an item, you can look at a table and you can figure out, okay, what could this possibly be? So like the fact that he's selling this for 107 Zorkmids tells me that this scroll could be one of a few different scrolls. Now, in the interest of not sort of bogging down this and making like overwhelming everybody, we're not going to be doing a lot of price IDing. But I do want to mention the most important scroll to identify is the scroll of identify. So there's a scroll that you can read that will identify other items. And it's going to be the cheapest scroll. So it's going to be something like 20 gold pieces or less. I'm actually going to open up a web app, which I created for this. Again, I don't think we're going to price ID a bunch of stuff because I don't think you need to price ID things to be successful for your first ascension. But what I will do is I will open it up. I'm going to show you this, this web app. So it's nethackathon.org/annotate. So this is, I call it your NetHack companion app. I can actually throw this in chat too. Andrew confirms that you don't want to throw a gold coin at the shopkeeper. They will attack you. So there's various things you can do with this app. You can use it to track those intrinsics, which I talked about. In fact, I should probably back up and talk a little bit about the Valkyrie and what they start with. Just while we have this tab open, I want to talk a little bit about what does the Valkyrie start with? What makes a Valkyrie a good starting character? So we're going to go over to the NetHack wiki. And again, I want to throw this URL in chat. This is going to be really important. So nethackwiki.com. And in this, this is just the best resource. We'll use this often, but we're going to type in the search, we're going to type Valkyrie. And we're going to search for it. And there's going to be tons of information here. You don't need to read all this to be successful. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to go down to the intrinsic section here. And you're going to see that Valkyries gain certain intrinsics at certain experience levels. So at level 1, we start with cold resistance and stealth. So these are the two intrinsics that we actually start with. At level 7, we're going to get speed, so we're going to get faster. But at level 1, we get these two. So actually, if you're using the Annotate app, and you're not required to, you can play this game without it. We can mark off cold, and we can mark off stealth. Now, there's also a notes tab. You can use that if you want to keep notes about your game. But what I really came here for is this price ID tab. Now, you'll notice that there's a charisma sort of like score here. So if we go back to our game, our current charisma is 9. So I mentioned at the beginning, your charisma is going to affect the prices that a shopkeeper will sell things to you for. So we're going to go ahead and adjust this to 9. It actually doesn't change anything. 9 and 10 are equal. But if you look down at this second row down on the table, and you click this scroll symbol here, you'll see that the only scroll that has a base cost of 20 is Identify. So for Valkyrie, starting with about a 10 charisma, you're going to be looking for scrolls in shops that are being sold for either 27 or 36 gold. And that's pretty much all you need to know. All you need to know is that if you have a scroll that you sell to a shopkeeper and they offer 8 or 10 gold, or if there's a scroll that they're selling to you that's 27 gold or 36 gold, it's going to be Identify. And then you can use that Identify scroll to identify everything else. So I think that's sort of all you need to know about price IDing to get started. And, maybe later on I'll come back to this and talk about other sort of important numbers. Like one thing, that 107 is sort of a special number in that it means that that scroll is either, and you can see right here, it's either base cost 60 or base cost 80. And there's only 3 scrolls that could be. So it could either be Enchant Weapon, Enchant Armor, or Remove Curse. So if you want to go through here and you want to price ID everything, you can do that. But that can be really overwhelming. And to be honest, it can kill your enjoyment of the game. So I just say, just take a look here, get familiar with how expensive these Identify scrolls are, and then maybe just forget it. Hi, Friend Nightly Craig. Welcome. It's going to take a long time. I'm expecting, if I'm lucky, I'm going to get through the early game. So maybe to XP level 5 tonight. We'll see. Yeah, so that's price IDing. But in a nutshell, if you only need to know one thing about price IDing, it's that cheap scrolls are Identify. All right, so let's go back to the game. So in fact, if we had a scroll, and we don't, if we did, we could drop it, and we could actually see how much money the shopkeeper would offer to buy it from us for, and then we could use that to figure out if it's ID or not. Identify. So we're actually going to leave the shop for now. We may come back later. There are other things you could do. You could actually let your cat steal things from the store for you. There's various strategies you can use. We're not going to do any of that in the interest of, in fact, you see the kitten just picked up a gem. Might actually take it out of the store for us. But in the interest of content and just for getting to the meat of the game, we're not going to do a lot of those strategies. Yeah, in fact, the kitten dropped this yellowish brown gem, stole that gem for us. So if the kitten takes something out of the shop and drops it in the doorway, or even in this spot here, this spot right in front of the door. So in one of these spots, or anywhere outside of the shop, you can pick it up and no consequences. You can actually just take it. So I still think there might be another room off to this way. Let's do another little bit of searching. So again, N10S. And no. Either there's nothing there or we can't find it. So let's go down this passageway. And it looks like this just leads to this doorway. and it's not locked. And we'll go this way. I'm going to hit numpad 5 and to the right, and we see a new creature. So this is something we haven't seen before. And this will introduce a new mechanic. So / let's take a look. It's an acid blob. So I think I mentioned passive attacks before with regards to certain fungi. An acid blob is a creature that does move. So they're not sessile. They don't just stay in one place. They will actually move around, but they only have a passive attack. So if you don't attack an acid blob, and that's not all bees, that's only green bees like this, only acid blobs. Acid blobs will leave you alone. But if you attack them, then you will get attacked back by their acid attack. And that acid attack will deal damage, but even worse, acid attacks might corrode your weapons and armor. So any metal weapons and armor might become corroded and less effective. So my suggestion would be just to ignore them if you can, or if you do need to attack them, then I would take off and unwield metal things. So you're still going to take damage from the acid, but at least your weapons won't get corroded. Let's actually demonstrate that, just because it will demonstrate how to unwield weapons. So we go over towards the acid blob, and I'm going to hit I here. So just taking inventory here. And so, you know, how would you know this? Like you probably wouldn't know this, but like I'll tell you, like high boots are leather, they're not metal. The small shield is also a leather shield, it's not metal. The orcish helm is metal. So like how would you know this? You would look at the wiki, I guess. I mean, you know, you sort of learn over time, or you can look things up. But then our longsword is also metal. And most importantly, we don't want our longsword to be corroded. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to hit the W key for wield. And you'll see that there's several options here of stuff to wield. But there's also this dash character. So we're going to hit the dash character, which is to the right of your the 0 key on my keyboard. And it says you are now empty-handed. So the dash represents your fists, basically. So if you type W and then the dash key, you're actually going to put your sword away and just take your fists out. So now we can actually take some swings at this acid blob without worrying about our sword being corroded. Our helmet might get corroded, but I'm just going to let that happen, and it'll be instructive. Andrew says that the fact that the boots are brown on the ground generally means that it's not metal. It's not actually 100% the case, but yeah, that, you know, like leather armor is generally brown, and like banded, which is metal, would be like a blue color. So we're going to punch this acid blob. We'll see what happens. You begin bashing monsters with your bare hands. You kill the acid blob. You are splashed by the acid blob's acid. So you see, we actually took 5 points of damage there, which is more damage than we've taken from any other creature, just from the passive attack. But it didn't corrode our sword, most importantly. So it didn't actually corrode our helmet either, which is nice. But now, most importantly, after we've killed the acid blob, we need to remember to use our sword again. So we're going to type W again. We do the question mark here, which is going to display all our options. And then you'll see that we want to wield our longsword. There's an A to the left of it. So we'll press A and +1 longsword, weapon in hand. That's done. Now, acid blobs they're technically safe to eat, but it will deal more damage to you because they are acidic. They have interesting properties. They don't get old as fast as other corpses. And eating acidic things can help in certain cases. We're actually just going to leave it. I don't think we're going to eat it. We're not going to take more damage just to eat an acid corpse. So I'm going to go around this way. We're going to just check up here. And you'll notice there was a little message there you hear some noises in the distance, that means that your pet, generally, means your pet is attacking other things. So there's combat happening somewhere else that you're not involved in. And usually that's your pet, but it could be other creatures attacking other creatures as well. So our kitten is getting into trouble. It's fine. We're going to keep exploring. It looks like there is likely a secret door here. In fact, let's go ahead and just search a few times. We'll do like N6S, and after a few turns there, we actually do find a hidden door. Hey, welcome Zen Burning, welcome. First time I played this, I killed a goblin, went over to another room, killed another goblin, went back to the first goblin, ate it. The corpse is rotten, and I died from food poisoning. I have not played again yet. Yeah. So we talked about that a little bit earlier. I say only eat things that are really fresh, like conservatively, maybe like 10 turns. Like if you kill it and you can eat it right away, do it. Otherwise, it's not worth the risk. Andrea, who's a very good player, said like 50. Said like 50 turns is safe. But I would just say if you can't eat it right away safely, just forget about it. All right, so we found a hidden door and we found another F. So let's go ahead and take a look. It's a lichen. Lichens are probably the safest of all creatures. They do almost no damage or no damage. They will stick you to them, so they can prevent you from running away. But they're very easy to kill by pretty much anything, and they have an interesting property, which is we're actually gonna kill it. Oh, it didn't drop a corpse. Oh, and somehow I missed leveling up. So we leveled up twice. I missed the other level up. We've actually leveled up twice. We went up to level 2. Now we're up to level 3. I guess I did notice our hit points going up. I just didn't mention it at the time. Yeah, so now we're up to level 3. Our hit points are now up to a max of 34. But back to the point of food poisoning. Lichen corpses are always safe to eat. So if you ever kill a lichen, you can pick it up, carry it around forever. Whenever you get hungry, you can eat it. It will never rot. All right, so we're going to go back. I really feel like there should be something up in this area. So do a little bit of searching. Oh yeah, looks like there's a passage here. Okay, so here's another message. You hear the footsteps of a guard on patrol. So you can look these up on the wiki as well. But I'll tell you right now, hearing the footsteps of a guard on patrol means that there's a vault on this level. What is a vault? Well, a vault is a 2x2 room. They're usually somewhere off in the corner of the map. It's not connected to the map by any passageway. And it's full of gold. So you can imagine, and actually maybe I'll just draw it here. You can imagine like off here, a little room that you can't get to. It's not connected by anything, and then it's just full of a bunch of gold. So there's just like gold. That's what a vault is. Now, until we find some way to dig or teleport, we're not going to be able to get to that vault. But it's interesting to know that it's there. And one thing you can do, and I would probably suggest that you do this, is if you hear the footsteps of a guard on patrol, you take note of it. And there's actually an in-game way to take notes of things. And it's called Annotate. It's actually my app here is named after it. So it's an extended command. NetHack has so many different commands that they actually used up every key on the keyboard. And then they ran out of letters. So what they had to do is they had to create additional commands. And the way you get to those additional extended commands is by hitting the number, the pound sign, the hash sign. So Shift 3 on my keyboard brings up this extended command menu. If you start typing annotate, you'll see it will autofill. So ANN brings up the rest. You can actually hit enter. And it says, what do you want to call this dungeon level? So annotate is an extended command that lets you label dungeon levels. So I'm just going to say vault. Just take note of that. So if we ever decide we want to come back for the money, we get some sort of means of digging it out, we'll know it's there. So I'm going to hit enter. And then how do you find that? Well, there's another extended command. And sorry, this starts to get very, very confusing. And I'll actually show you, right after this, I'll show you where you can find a list of these commands. But so again, we're going to do that Shift 3, the hash symbol or the pound symbol, and we're going to type overview, or start typing overview. It's going to, as soon as we type OV, it's going to show you the rest, and hit enter. So this gives you an overview of the dungeon that you've explored so far. So, and what you know about it. And some of this stuff is automatically entered here. So level 1 has a fountain. That's something we saw, and it takes note of it for you. Level 2 has a general store and a fountain. But it also has our annotation. So here, that annotation we wrote, vault, is right here in quotation marks, right next to level 2. So as we move on, if we sort of want to keep note of what was on different levels, we can annotate it and then use the overview command to look back and see what we've written. And Andrea mentions that Control-O works as a shortcut for overview. Yeah. So just hit the space key there. And, oh yeah, I was going to show you where can you find sort of the in-game help. So like how you expected to remember all these commands. You're not expected to remember all these commands. Hit the question mark key, Shift question mark, and you'll see that there's a menu here for a bunch of different stuff. But what we're going to look for, well, we were talking about extended commands, right? So you'll see here, option J is list of extended commands. So we're going to hit J, and that's going to bring up, all of the different extended commands, including the ones we just talked about. So these are all the different commands that you could potentially use the pound symbol and then type in order to do. So we're not going to go through all of these. I just wanted to point out that if you forget, annotate, you could use that question mark and look at extended commands and find the list of extended commands here. So annotate's here. If we page through, you'll see overview is here, and then there's a bunch more. A lot of these you will never use, but as we need them, I'll talk about them as well. And then again, if I go back to that question mark menu, that was extended commands, but there's also just full list of keyboard commands here, hitting I. And this is going to talk to you about current key bindings. So here's all the directional keys on the numpad. There's just a bunch of stuff here. Yeah, so here's all the different commands here. And we'll talk about them as they come up. But if you need to find a particular command, you sort of remember, oh yeah, that was a thing, like kick we talked about is K. Yeah, so if there's a particular command that you sort of remember as a thing, but you don't remember what keys associated with it, you can use that question mark menu and come back here and find it. Okay. So let's just keep going to the left here. Seems like there probably should be a, oh, and that was another, again, Control P brings up your message history. You hear someone counting money. So that's another message that you will get if there's a vault on the level. So You hear the footsteps of a guard on patrol, and you hear someone counting money. Both of those are sort of sound hints that there's a vault. Just going to keep exploring over this way. Again, I don't really believe that this is the end, so I'm going to, again, search 10 times here. So N, 10, S, yep, nothing. So it's possible we've missed something here, but you don't want to spend too much time searching for stuff if you don't have to. So we've already found the downstairs, so I think we'll go ahead and move on to the next level. Oh, looks like this is what our kitten was doing here. Oh, no, actually, sorry. This is the acid blob we killed, right? Yeah, that's the acid blob we killed. So hit S there, just let the kitten move next to us, and we're going to go down to the next level. And this is dungeon level 3. So let's explore this. 2 closed doors and open door. Just going to do the left passage first here. And, oh, what's this? All right, so we have a new symbol. It's an underscore. Take a look. It's a lawful altar. Altars are extremely useful. There are a lot of things you can do in an altar. I'm going to talk about one way that an altar is useful first, and we'll talk about some other ways later on. Altars can be lawful, neutral, or chaotic. In this case, it's what you call a co-aligned altar. So remember I told you our alignment is very important. So we're lawful. This altar is lawful. That's great. That actually will really help us in certain ways. It's a very useful thing to have. But regardless of whether the altar is lawful, neutral, or chaotic, you can always use it for what we call BUC testing. That stands for Blessed, Uncursed, Cursed testing. And I'll show you how we do that. So we're actually going to stand on top of the altar here. And we're going to drop everything in our inventory that we don't know if it's blessed, cursed, or uncursed. And there's a shortcut to do this. So normally when I'm dropping something, I just hit D for drop. And we can use the question mark, and we can select things individually, one at a time. But let's say we want to drop more than one thing at once. I'm just going to hit escape here to escape out of this. It says never mind. That actually doesn't waste a turn. But if I want to drop multiple things at once, instead of the lowercase d, I'm actually going to do Shift D. So capital D. And then instead of what item do you want to drop, it's going to say drop what types of items. So here we have different options here. We could drop every single item in our inventory if we wanted to. We could drop items of a certain type. But what we're interested in doing here is actually the very bottom option there, where it says we want to drop items of unknown, bless, or curse status. So it's Shift X. It's always Shift X. And I'll hit enter here. And it's going to show me, this is everything here in my inventory that we don't know if it's blessed or cursed or not. Now, remember the Orcish Helm and the high boots, we know they're not cursed because our kitten told us as much. But the rest of these things we don't know. Like that Orcish dagger, I think I picked that up without having my kitten tell me if it's cursed or not. So that could be a cursed dagger. So again, we're going to use the, we can use either the comma or the period key here to select everything. And I'm going to hit enter. And it's going to drop everything on the altar. It's not going to drop the armor because we're wearing it. You'll see like everything's going to drop on the altar. And then if we want to pick it up again, we're going to hit the comma key. Now you'll see that all these things that we dropped, it says uncursed. Before we didn't know whether they're cursed or not. If an item flashes black or flashes blue when they hit the altar, then you know that they're blessed or cursed, and they'll automatically be labeled that way. But now we know that this dagger is uncursed. So you can pick everything back up and hit enter. And now we don't need the kitten anymore. If we find a suit of armor or a ring or something, we can bring it back to the altar and we can drop it on the altar and we can tell if it's cursed or not before we put it on. So that is really, really useful. All right, so we're going to keep exploring. And we've just found a second general store. So how do I know that? Well, first of all, you see all the items on the ground there, but you can see the @ symbol. And there's Peaceful Upernavik. This is a shopkeeper. And then you'll see there's a bunch of different items here of all different sorts. So that means that this is another general store. And this is a very large general store too. So having a very large general store next to an altar like this is actually really, really useful. And you'll notice that the shopkeeper has standed on those two spaces. So again, we know there's no mimic there. So we can stand on this space here and we can repeat the process of throwing gold coins around just to see if there's a mimic. To be honest, you know, it's at this dungeon level, they're likely going to be small mimics, and a third level Valkyrie can take out a small mimic without too much trouble. But it's probably safest to do this. And if you're a weaker character, say like a wizard or a rogue or something, you know, you're not going to want to get into melee with a mimic at this level. So yeah, we're going to throw a gold piece just to check if there's any mimics in the store. So again, a T1 $, and we're going to go to the left here. So now there's no mimics in that row. And then T1 $, down. That column is also clear. So we can move to the next and just repeat. And here we can go ahead and pick that gold piece back up. And again, T1 $, down. So we know there's no mimics, at least in this row and below. So pick everything up and we'll take a quick look around to see what's here. So there's a leather jacket. Leather jacket is technically armor. So we could look that up in the wiki. I'll tell you right now, it's not a very good piece of armor. I think it grants you 1 AC at best. There's a wooden ring here. Could be potentially useful. Rings tend to be very powerful, but also they can be quite bad. So you can pay attention to what your kitten picks up here. The fact that the kitten picked up a shuriken means those shurikens are not cursed. Now another command here that you might want to use, so I sort of saw there was a potion on the ground there. I want to look at it again. If you want to look at things that are beneath your feet, you can use the : command. So just shift : shift semicolon, which is a colon, will look at your feet. So we can look down, we see that there's a peace potion here for sale for 400 Zorkmids. It's a very expensive potion, which likely means it's fairly powerful. It's kind of interesting to know that it's there. And here we have a gold piece we can pick up, and there's 7 rocks, which are for sale for 49 Zorkmids. So I mean, I kind of know that these are flint stones, just based on the price. Again, we're not going to do price IDing, so I think I'm just not going to ignore that for now. There's plate mail, which is quite interesting. We can't afford it, but that is pretty good armor, very heavy. There's some food here. There's a cram ration, which is decent. Maybe not as good as a regular food ration, but a little cheaper. All right, so here's a scroll labeled Ver Yed Horror for sale for 400 Zorkmids. On the other end, so we talked about price IDing. The absolute cheapest scrolls, 27, 36, are going to be identify, very important to know. The other interesting thing are scrolls that are very expensive. So ones that are on the opposite end of the spectrum. I mean, looking over here at this chart here, you'll see base cost 300 scrolls are going to be either 400 or 533 gold. So this is a base cost 300 scroll. And those can be very, very useful to ID. So I guess the minimum that I would suggest for price IDing is if you know the cheapest scrolls and the most expensive scrolls, that's a good place to start. So what I actually like to do here is label these scrolls. And the way that you do that is with the call command. So we're going to do Shift-C. And that's going to say, what do you want to name? We're standing on top of this scroll. So we actually want to name the type of an object upon the floor. So we're going to do the F for naming the type of object on the floor. And we can just hit the period key here. So in fact, I'll go ahead and do the instructions here. So question mark. So it says we're going to use our numpad to move the cursor around, and or period for one under you, and then type, well, hit down here, you see, type a period when you're at the right place. So we'll hit period. It's going to say, what do you want to call a scroll labeled Ver Yed Hor? So here we can just sort of say, okay, well, it's a scroll that's called Ver, and it has a base cost of 300. We know that from my app here. You could even just say Ver expensive. You know, if you don't remember exactly what the base cost of these things are, you could just say that it's very expensive. But I'll tell you right now, like knowing what those most expensive scrolls and the least expensive scrolls are is going to be helpful later. So I'm just going to name that one. I think that's the most price IDing we're going to do because I don't want to overwhelm you. So some rings here. There's a pair of hiking boots. Hiking boots, which are about price 50, are usually can be very useful and very good. Cheaper ones tend to be not as useful. Also might be cursed. You could see if the kitten steps on these. And another thing to mention here is that gems, despite being really, really, really expensive, could be worthless glass. So shopkeepers they're out to scam you. Like if they might know that this is a worthless piece of glass and they're still trying to sell it to you for a ridiculous amount of money. So just because it's expensive, if it's a gem, it could still be worthless. Okay, so this scroll it's not really, really expensive. It's not one of the base cost 300. It's also not really, really cheap. So we'll just leave that unidentified. Ooh, a gray stone. Okay, so we have to talk about gray stones. Okay, so we actually saw two different types of graystones in this shop. There was a stack of graystones down below, and the whole stack together was something like 50 gold or something. So a stack of graystones that are cheap, or like a single graystone that's cheap, is probably something worthless. It's going to be a flint stone. Ignore it. Now, a graystone that is base cost 50, so in this case, it's somewhere around 50 gold. Because our charisma is fairly low, the shopkeeper is selling it to us for 80. A Graystone of that cost could be something really good, or it could be something really bad. So either it's something good or it's a lodestone. A lodestone is one of the only items I can think of, maybe the only item, that becomes cursed when you pick it up. So, and when you pick it up, you can't put it down again without getting uncursed. And it weighs a lot. So you can identify lodestones, though. And the way we're going to do that, and you have to be a little careful about this. I think someone mentioned breaking potions in shops. So you don't want to kick the stone toward a potion. But like in this corner, there's a white gem. Shouldn't be a big deal. In fact, we could be extra careful here. I don't think it can break this, but we can actually pick this white gem up and bring it down here and drop it. I don't know that you can break like fragile gems with kicking things, but so we're actually going to move to the right side of this gray stone. We're type K for kick, and we're going to push to the left, and you'll see that it goes all the way to the corner. So if it moves, if it doesn't say thump, then you know for sure that it's not a lodestone and it's safe to pick up. In fact, Andrea says that lodestones have a base price of 1. I don't know that that's true, but he's probably right. I should look it up. I want to make sure I'm giving good information here. And yep, Andrew is exactly right. So base price is right here, 1 Zork mid. So that's correct. We would have been able to identify the lodestone because it would have been 1 gold or very close to 1 gold. So that's good to know. All right, we can pick this Graystone up. And so a Graystone that costs about 50 can be one of 2 things. It's either a touchstone or a luck stone. And you can differentiate between them by rubbing the stone on something that's metal. So in our case, that would be like a dagger or a sword. So rub is another extended command. So again, we're going to do shift 3, little hash mark, and we're going to start to type rub, R-U, and you'll see it auto completes. And we're going to rub. I think M is going to be it. We can do question mark just to make sure. Yeah, so it's the Graystone. So we're going to rub the Graystone, and we're going to rub it on our longsword. So again, question mark here. Longsword is A. So we're going to push A. And this is the message you're looking for right here. So this distinctive message, scritch, scritch, means that this stone is not a luck stone, it's a touchstone. Touchstones can be used to identify gems. So we should actually be able to use this in the shop. I don't think the shopkeeper is going to charge us for usage. I'm not actually sure about that. Well, we'll learn something if he does, but so we can actually apply it. Oh, this is a new command, so let's talk about that. So tools, I'm going to hit I here. You see the Graystone is down here. It's M. It's under gems and stones. But different things you can apply, and a touchstone is one of them. So we're actually going to apply the stone on our gems here and see if we can't figure out if they're valuable or not. So A, we're going to apply M, and we're going to rub on it our black gem here. It says you make scratch marks on the stone. So what does that mean? So a touchstone is a way to differentiate soft and hard gems. So glass, worthless glass, is always going to be soft. There are some valuable gems that are also soft, but the fact that, and again, we can hit Control P here. The fact that we made scratch marks on the stone with our black gem means that black gem has to be valuable. Can't be glass. So we can actually call it. We could actually, again, Shift C. And now we want to call the type of an object in inventory. So we don't want to call a particular object in inventory because that will just name like that one stone. We actually want to name every black stone that looks the same as that one. So we want to name the type of an object in inventory. So O, question mark here. We're going to call I, the uncursed black gem. We're going to call it black valuable, just to keep track of the fact that that's a valuable gem. And then we can do the same thing, AM with K. And again, we make scratch marks on the stone. So that's actually unusual. Glass is much more common, but it seems like both of these are valuable gems. So we're going to call type of an object. We're going to call the yellowish brown gem yellow brown valuable. And then we don't have 80 gold, so we're just going to drop this touchstone. In fact, I want to show you, if you do Shift D, again, that extended drop command, there's going to be an option here to drop unpaid items. So we can type U, and then you'll see everything that you have in your inventory that's unpaid. We can select that and drop it. All right, so that's Graystones. Luckstones are really useful. So if that's actually what we were hoping for, if that was not a touchstone, we would probably be trying to figure out how to buy the Luckstone. Yeah, so I'm just looking through here and I don't see anything else which is of particular interest. I mean, the scale mail is pretty good. We can't afford it currently, but if it was uncursed, that's like a good, like scale mail or splint mail is like decent. A balance between weight and protection. So we're just going to leave for now. Can always come back later. Oh, well, that's a little bit. You can actually use a touchstone to identify cheap boots like that, but that's sort of like a niche strategy. So I think we'll probably skip that. So let's keep going. I'll finish exploring this level. The door, we do have to move here. That looks like a jackal. We can double check. There are other Ds which are more dangerous, so probably worthwhile to look. It is just a jackal. So let the jackal come to us and we'll kill it. And then again, this F, and take a look, is just another lichen, so that's not dangerous. And what's this? I'm assuming this is just another gecko. It's a gecko. So yeah, geckos are not in any sort of category that's dangerous. And geckos are, in fact, almost every lizard is safe to eat. Maybe all lizards. Oh no, there's at least one that's not. But that's gonna be later in the game. But yeah, geckos, newts are safe to eat. So we'll eat this. I'll go pick up this gold. And go this way. I missed a message, so I'm just gonna take a quick look. It was just someone cursing shoplifters again. All right. I'm going to take a look at this F2. There's two Fs that look a lot alike. One is a dark green and the other is a light green. So you have to be a little careful about that. And this is a blindfold. Okay. So blindfolds are actually pretty useful. And the kitten picks it up so that we know for sure it's not cursed. So we're going to kill that lichen. And whenever the kitten drops the blindfold, we're going to go pick it up. What does the blindfold do? Well, you can put it on. You can put it on with Shift P for put. So it's one of the things about, in fact, I think NetHack now lets you wear blindfolds too, but generally you put on things like blindfolds, rings, and amulets, capital P put, and you wear, capital W wear, things like armor. I think they're interchangeable, but we're going to capital P put on the blindfold just to show you. You're now wearing a blindfold you can't see anymore. Don't put on blindfolds if you're not sure they're not cursed, but we saw the kitten pick it up, so we were sure it was not cursed. I just wanted to show you what it does. We can't see anything. It doesn't seem very useful, but it actually is quite useful in a couple of situations, which we'll talk about when they come up. So we need to take it off so we can see again. So we're actually going to do Shift R for remove. And it's not going to ask us what to take off because we're only wearing one thing. So it's just going to take the blindfold off and we can see again. Yeah, blindfolds are very good. So glad to see it. Pretty sure this is a lichen. And it is. There's a lichen corpse. We're actually going to pick that up and take it with us. They are, as I said, lichen corpses are the one corpse that are unlike. There's only one other corpse I can think of that's like this. It never goes bad. It's always safe to eat. Again, I suggest you just, when you get to the downstairs like this, you just Shift greater than go down quickly. Just so you know where the upstairs are, and you fix the difficulty level of the creatures at your current XP level, and then come right back up. So pick up this gold and we'll continue exploring. All right, so here we go. I think Andrea previously mentioned statues. So letters which are all white and don't move, like this, are probably statues. Let's take a look. So it's a statue of a homunculus. I mean, there are some things about statues, but I'd say basically there's some chance that the statue will come to life when you walk on top of it, which might be good, might be bad. And then if you break statues, sometimes they drop. There's items inside of them. Or step on it, nothing happens. So we're just going to leave that there and keep going. Statues are not considered particularly important to most of the strategies that we're doing here. Let's do a quick N10S. And you'll notice here that we actually only searched one time. So it was actually at 972 and then went to 973 and then stopped. And the reason why it stopped is because we're hungry. All right, so now we need to eat something. So if we look in our inventory here under comestibles, you'll see we have 2 food rations, a lichen corpse, and an apple. I suggest you eat the lichen corpses first just because they are less efficient, weight efficient for the amount of food nutrition they give you. So I probably would eat the lichen corpse and the apple first. So we're going to go E for eat. You can check with question mark, but we want O for lichen corpse. And we eat that, and we're no longer hungry. So let's finish searching here. So we're going to do N10S, and we do find a hidden passage. So sometimes your searching will be interrupted, and then you'll need to continue. All right, so here's a room. And here's our first dark room. So you'll notice that every other room that we entered exposed the entire room as soon as we went into it. But this room, we only see the spaces immediately next to us. So this is a dark room. So we're actually going to have to explore this more manually. Should go down. And we found the downstairs. We found a second set of downstairs. So this is the first, what we call a branch in NetHack. So there are 2 downstairs on this level. One continues down in the dungeon. And then there's this one, which we can check out. Go down here quick. And this is the Gnomish Mines. So immediately there's 2 new monster types right here. And then there's a completely different sort of dungeon, procedurally generated dungeon type as well. So let's take a look around us. That's //. And so we have a peaceful gnome. So it's interesting. This is the first peaceful monster that we found that isn't our tame kitten. And we have a peaceful hobbit. So both of these things are peaceful because we're lawful and we're a dwarf. So this is one of the reasons why a dwarf Valkyrie is easier in the early game than a human Valkyrie. You're more likely to get peaceful gnomes and dwarves in the Gnomish Mines. So the fact that the hobbit is peaceful is because we're lawful, and the gnome is because we're lawful and a dwarf. I think we're actually going to not do the mines yet. They tend to be sort of a step up in difficulty, even as a dwarf. So I'm going to use the : command here and just double check. We're still on the upstairs staircase here. So I'm just going to go back up. The other reason why I'm going back up is you'll notice that this is all dark, right? This is a dark level. So the Gnomish Mines are either going to be randomly, it's either going to be completely lit up or it's going to be completely dark. And this is just randomly a completely dark mines level. We don't have a light source, so this is going to be more dangerous and more difficult to explore. So for those reasons, I think we'll hold off on exploring this. We're going to go right back up. And our kitten's going to follow us because they're still next to us, and we can finish exploring this floor. There's another door over there. I guess we can take a quick look, see if there's a room over on this side. Looks like not. So 5 left, just to skip over that to there, and we'll keep exploring. You hear a door open. So there's some creature like a goblin or something like that that has the hands and can open doors. Okay, so here's a new fungi. So take a quick look. It's a yellow mold. So this is one of the molds with a passive attack. Yellow molds don't deal damage, but they will make you confused. Let's go ahead and attack it, and I'll show you. We actually kill it the first time we swing, so we didn't end up getting confused. But you want to look down here where that hungry status was shown. There can be other statuses, and a couple of them are confused or stunned, and we'll talk about that when that happens. But for now, let's continue on. And I think for sure, well, there's a door here we haven't explored, and there's a big open space here. So we're going to go back here. And I actually do want to take this moment to talk about the travel commands. So we could just walk over there, but you can also just save yourself some time by using the underscore. So if you do shift underscore here, it's going to say, where do you want to travel to? So now we can actually move our cursor over to this door here, right in front of the door, and hit the period just to select it. And it's going to move us there. It's going to move us either there or until we get to a place where there's a monster like there is here. All right, so this is another monster. This is actually, the e's, lowercase e's, can be quite dangerous. So let's talk about this one. So this is a gas spore. So gas spores, again, they don't attack you. They don't deal damage, but they have a passive attack, which is quite dangerous. If you blow up a gas spore, they'll explode, and they'll deal damage in every space around them, and it's quite a bit of damage. So they're best to attack from range. So let's take a quick look in our inventory here. So we have our longsword, and we have 2 daggers, one that we started with and another that we picked up. So what we can actually do here is try and kill this gas spore from range in order to not be damaged by it. So if we'll step away from it, oop, and we hit our first trap. A bear trap closes on your foot. So the Dungeons of Doom are going to have a lot of different types of traps. Bear trap is one of the nastier ones, actually. So it dealt some damage, actually only 3 points of damage. They can deal more than that. And also we're trapped. So the only trick I can tell you about bear traps is it's going to take you a while to get out of them and move on a diagonal. So for, you know, strange code reasons, you're going to be able to get out of the bear trap quicker if you move in a diagonal direction than you will if you move in a orthogonal or non-diagonal direction. So we're just going to move up to the left here, and it says you finally wriggle free, and then we move off. So here we go. This little caret symbol here is a trap. And they're colored differently, but the colors are shared between traps, so it's not always going to tell you exactly what it is. Traps of this color can be things like dart traps or arrow traps or bear traps. We know it's there, so we're just going to leave it alone. Let's see if we can't kill this gas spore again from range. And we also make sure that our cat is not next to it when we kill it, because it could kill our cat. So there, our cat is moved. So let's go ahead and throw some daggers. So that's T for throw. We're going to throw let's throw our +0 dagger first. So that's B. And we're going to push to the right, and we hit the gas spore. Again, we need to move away from it. Oh, wait, and you'll notice there it said your leg feels better. So the other thing a bear trap will do is it will injure your leg, which will actually make you burdened quicker or with less encumbrance. So, and there's no way to heal it, no easy way to heal that. Just over time, that will go away, that status condition. All right, so we need to search again. Okay, now the cat is no longer in range, so we can go and throw that orcish dagger. And with the second hit, we kill the gas spore. You may have noticed there was that green explosion around there. So if anything was in those hexes, they would have been damaged quite a bit. Oh, and I think I just stepped on the... Oh, okay. I did step in the bear trap, but I escaped it. So I got lucky. Okay, we picked up the orcish dagger automatically. So I guess this version NetHack will pick back up things that you've thrown automatically without having to do it manually. So that is an option that's enabled by default. So that door is locked, so we're going to kick it. It's going to take us a few tries here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Finally open it. And we have a hobbit coming. Let's take a quick look if this hobbit is peaceful or not. And it's not, so that hobbit is hostile. So let's let that hobbit come over here. It throws an elven dagger at us. Actually dealt 5 points of damage. You can actually take that elven dagger and we'll attack this hobbit. We kill it, and it drops something really special here. It's an elven mithril coat. So 2 of the best types of armor in the game are elven and dwarven mithril coats. So hoping that this is not cursed, and we can let our potentially let our cat tell us that this is going to be quite a good thing for us. Now, lowercase k's are kobolds. Let's take a look at this one. And this is a kobold lord. So it's a more powerful kobold. It's still just a kobold, so not really of any danger to us, but more powerful than a normal kobold. We'll let it come to us. We'll hit it. And here, the Kobold Lord drinks an effervescent potion, and the Kobold Lord looks better. So that was a potion of healing. And in fact, it identified that potion of healing for us. So if you can see the effect of a potion or a scroll or a wand, then it will automatically identify for you in most cases. So what we can do is we can actually look at our discoveries. If you use the backslash key, so it's going to be the slash, which is over your backspace, you'll see that it will show you all your discoveries. So some of these things, like these weapons, are just stuff that you know about just for being a Valkyrie. So this is weapons that we know about. More. And just like various weapons we know about. Armor we know about. And then you'll see, here's that scroll called Vera 300 that we named. So that's in here under our discoveries list. And then there's Potion of Healing, parentheses, effervescent. So now instead of seeing an effervescent potion, anytime we see a potion, we're going to see Potion of Healing because it's identified. Then we have black gem called black valuable and yellowish brown gem called yellow brown valuable. Those are things that we named. So that's our discoveries list. So let's kill this Kobold Lord. We hit it once. And did you notice that the cat just stepped onto the Elvish Mithril there? So we know it's not cursed, which is excellent. So we do kill the Kobold Lord and we make it to experience level 4, which is great. Now here's the first poisonous corpse. So kobolds are always poisonous. So you can't eat kobold corpses. Doesn't matter if they're kobolds or kobold lords or kobold shamans. You can't eat them. So we're going to leave that alone. One thing you can do is you can watch your cat. So if your cat eats a corpse, it's generally or always safe to eat. If your cat doesn't eat a corpse, it's likely poisonous. Let's go pick up that Elven Mithril coat, again with comma. Andrew, that's a good idea, Andrew, but I'm actually going to hold off on that that strategy just so don't overwhelm people. So we're going to pick up that Elven Mithril coat, and then I'm going to Shift W, again for wear. I'm going to wear Q. You finish your dressing maneuver, and now we're down to an armor class of -2. Push I here. You'll see here that was a +0 Elven Mithril coat. So we have +0 Orcish helm, +0 high boots, +3 small shield, and a +0 Elven Mithril coat. And I would say with AC -2, that's one of our early game goals here. Get better AC is pretty much crossed off here. That's I mean, it can get better, but that's definitely for early game, that's decent AC. So that's great. I think this level is pretty much done. Actually, no, there's still some stuff to the right here. So let's go to the right. We'll check out this area. Okay, here's our next sound clue. You hear a jackal howling at the moon. All right, so I think you can pretty much guess what this is, but you hear a blank howling at the moon means there's a were creature, like a werewolf or a were jackal in this case, a were rat. Were creatures can be quite dangerous. They are fairly strong themselves, and also they can infect you with lycanthropy. I'll talk to you about how to deal with that if it happens. But there are a few ways that you can cure yourself. This passageway ended, but again, there might be a room right here. There's enough space. Let's go ahead and do like N 10s. I think we probably didn't search for a full 10 because it stopped as soon as we got to full health. So let's search another few times. So do N6S here. Still haven't found anything, so maybe that's actually legitimately a dead end. So we'll start heading back, and we begin to feel hungry, so let's eat that apple. And it says core dumped, which is just a funny, it's a computer programmer joke. All right, so we'll keep going this way. And here's a new monster. So another O. You'll remember the gray O is a goblin. Take a look. This is a hobgoblin. Hobgoblins are a little bit more dangerous than goblins. If a hobgoblin has a decent weapon, they can do reasonable damage. So you might worry. As a level 4 Valkyrie with -2 AC, I wouldn't worry too much about it. We're going to let the hobgoblin step into the doorway and just hit him, and we kill them. So just like goblins, hobgoblins are safe to eat. And you'll see that it did have a weapon. It had a scimitar. So it could have dealt some decent damage with that. Let's go ahead and eat the hobgoblin corpse. And we finish eating it. And I mean, we can pick these things up. We could bring the orcish helm to the altar to check it to see if it's cursed or not. As long as it's not burdening us, we can pick those things up for the time being. So I'm not sure where this werejackal is. It's a little bit, that is a little bit concerning. I think we're okay. But we're going to go down here. I think we'll just go to the next level. And we'll check it out. And while I'm at it, let me just drop the orcish helm here. Let's see if the kitten steps on it quickly. Looks like it's not stepping on it. Kill this grid bug. Oh, it stepped on it. Okay. So that orcish helm is not cursed. So we can go ahead and see if this is any better than the one we're currently wearing. So I'm going to do Shift T to take off. We'll take off the orcish helm. And then Shift W to wear. And we'll wear the new orcish helm. And it's a +0 as well. So we can just go ahead and drop the spare one. You hear a door open, so there's something on this floor that can open doors. So we'll start exploring. Now, a good rule of thumb, at least for the early game, is your XP level wants to be higher or equal to the dungeon level. So we're XP level 4 and the dungeon level is 4, so that feels pretty safe to me. This isn't 100% the case, but at least for the first few levels, that's what I like to keep, that ratio. All right, so let's check here. We'll do N6S. Doesn't seem like there's a secret door there, at least not one we can find easily. So I'll look this way. We found the downstairs. So again, we're just going to poke our head downstairs here with greater than symbol. Might as well grab this. It's a food ration, which is great. So pick that up. And we'll go back up to dungeon level 4 and keep exploring. Now, this is a passageway that you have to squeeze through. So here, I think this is the first one that we've seen. Notice there's no passageway here. So to go from here to here, you have to go on a diagonal, kind of through, like, you can imagine a narrow space. So kind of think of like caving. If you've ever seen people like go spelunking and they have to squeeze through a gap, that's what this is. So if you have a small amount of encumbrance, you'll be able to go through there. If you have a large amount of encumbrance or a moderate amount of encumbrance, you will not be able to go through there. It turns out we actually have a small enough amount of encumbrance still that we can squeeze through there. But almost certainly there's a secret right here. There's almost always, like if there's a passageway that looks like this, there's almost always a secret passage right here. So if you get stuck and you can't squeeze through, try searching a few times. In fact, I'll just do that. I'll do a few searches here. Yeah, you'll see is actually the secret passageway is up here. But almost always, there's some cases where it doesn't happen, but usually you'll find a passage so you can get through without squeezing. That's another hobgoblin. So let's go fight it. And it seems like my kitten's fighting it. There it is. Misses us, and we kill it. It's odd. Why? Oh, I see. It's just black on black. Huh. It did drop an orcish helm. And so we can pick that up. If it's not cursed, we can try it on. So you can get up to +5 helmets if you're really, really lucky. So it often can be worthwhile to check out, a bunch of different helms to see if there's enchanted ones that are better than the one you have. So there's another kobold. This one is a large kobold. They are not particularly dangerous. So it goes kobold, which are pushovers. Large kobolds are a little more dangerous, and then kobold lords are even more dangerous. But none of them are very dangerous at all, particularly not for Valkyrie and not at XP level 4. So while we're moving over here, I'm just going to go ahead and drop that helmet. We'll see if the cat picks it up or not. All right, we're able to kill the large kobold, no problem. We'll see if the the kitten picks up an orcish helm. And we start to be hungry, so now we need to eat again. So let's eat this food ration. We're down to food rations. We have to eat one. So there's another option we have here. Kind of advanced strategy. So I don't know if you can wait until you get weak from hunger and then pray. But we have 3 food rations, so and it's a little bit risky. I think we're just going to go ahead and eat this food ration. The food really hits the spot. Let's go ahead and get this orcish helm. Take off our current helm, and we'll wear the new one. And it actually turns out that it's a +1 orcish helm. So we've actually increased our armor class from -2 to -3. So we can drop that old one, drop S, DS, and we'll keep exploring. So it's worthwhile, although arguably slightly tedious, but definitely worthwhile to try out different armor. All right, let's do N10S here, and we find a hidden door. It will stop searching as soon as you find something, so it's not wasteful to do more searches than you need. But you do have to be careful because you are using nutrition. So another lichen, so we'll go in and kill that and pick it up. We'll keep exploring. And that's an empty room. I feel like there could be, again, big open space over here, right? So I would actually go to the wall here and just do some searching. So I did 2 searches, and you'll notice that we found a trap. So we found this trap here. That's a pit. Pits are not terribly dangerous. Well, so there are pits and there are spiked pits. Pits are not terribly dangerous. Spiked pits can be very, very dangerous. So I'm going to just do some more searches here. Don't find anything, then we're just going to go around that pit and just keep going this way. So there could be this passage over here might continue, or there might be a secret passageway on this wall, or a secret door rather, on this wall or this wall. But there's clearly got to be more dungeon over here. Okay, we found our first dangerous creature. Let's take a look. So // it's a Roth. Hey, Green Gecko. Thank you for the luck and welcome. So a Roth or a Roth or however you call it. I think it was in one of the early Advanced Dungeons Dragons monster supplements, Fiend's Folio or something. But it's a small dungeon yak, I guess is how I describe it. In fact, we do / and then or / rather, and question mark. Actually type it. So we type Roth here. Or Rothe. The Rothe is a musk ox-like creature with an aversion to light. It prefers to live underground near lichen and moss. So Grinning Gecko says Roth. Yeah, I usually says Roth or something. I don't know. So Rothes are dangerous. They have 3 attacks. 2 attacks or 3 attacks? I think they have 3 attacks. Let's actually take a look at the wiki, because I'll sort of show you what you would look at in the wiki for dangerous creatures. Yeah, so 3 attacks. So most creatures have 1 attack, but a Rothe has 3. They have a claw D3, bite D3, bite D8. So yeah, they can do quite a bit of damage. They're slower than us. So our speed is 12. Base speed is 12. Their base speed is 9. So they're a little bit slower. But they do more damage. So, and they also come in packs. So generally you'll find more than 1. Now, they're dangerous, but with -3 AC and 44 hit points, they're not that dangerous. One thing about armor class in NetHack, which I will mention, is it's more than just how easy you are to hit or not. Having a low armor class does make you easier to hit, but armor class below 0 also acts as a form of damage reduction. So I'm actually going to bring up the wiki article here because they have a interesting chart here. So here is the amount of damage that a Minotaur does based on your armor class. So you'll see that the average damage per round from a Minotaur, which is one of the most dangerous, arguably the most damaging creature in the game, does in a single round goes down based on armor class. And that's not just how often they're hitting. That has to do with the damage reduction that you get. So having less than 0 armor class is going to reduce the amount of damage that creatures do to you. And so it's not, I don't know if it's like a linear anyway, you can read this if you want to know the exact mechanics. I feel like it actually, -3 actually subtracts. Yeah, so here it is. Like, okay, it's a little more complicated. Your negative, it gives you a negative between -1 and your negative armor class. That number is chosen at random, and that's subtracted from the damage. Okay, so in this case, we're getting, for each attack between 1 and 3 points of damage is being taken off of. So that Roth, just going back to that Roth, whatever you want to say, the claw and the bite might do no damage at all. Like they're doing D3, but we're subtracting D3. And the bite that normally does D8 damage is actually D8 minus D3. So as you can see, we take drastically less damage from creatures having a negative AC. Anyway, TLDR is low AC good. So we're gonna go ahead and move over to that Rathe, and we're gonna kill it. We kill it, and then the kitten yowls. Okay, so pets need to eat too. The fact that the kitten's yowling means that the kitten is hungry. You can actually chat, and this is another extended command, so we can do #chat. You can chat to the kitten, and it will actually yowl. So that's an unhappy kitten. So let's actually let it eat this corpse. We've been eating all the corpses, which is why the kitten's hungry. We don't really need the kitten, I guess, but we have some food, so we'll let the kitten eat it. And then the kitten will be happy for a while. I'm going to kind of walking and hitting S as I go here. Just see if there's a secret passageway on the upper wall here. I'm going to take a look at this D here, just because we're a little bit lower level. It's still just a jackal, so nothing dangerous. But you're going to start to see things like wolves or were-jackals. Eventually you'll see wargs, so those brown Ds will get more dangerous as you go. Let's check out this passageway over here. I feel like there might be more to it over here. Do a few searches. No. And then we'll check out this wall. I'm just hitting S a few times. I feel like there's gotta be a secret door somewhere. We don't have to find it 100%. We've already found the downstairs. It's sort of a problem of diminishing returns here. I don't know. I think maybe we just go down. So we hit go to the downstairs and hit shift greater than. We're to dungeon level 5. We're only XP 4, so sort of at the point where maybe things are a little bit more dangerous. That's fantastic. Grinning Gecko says they get 2 kittens and call them Kit and Caboodle. And that's great. Oh, we saw 2 new monsters there, and I moved. Sorry. I'm going to move back up. So these are 2 new monsters, both of which are can be dangerous in isolation, and together definitely are a little bit worrisome. So let's take a look. We're seeing these with infravision, which is why we can see them. So we have a Homunculus and a giant bat. An Homunculus is a type of an imp. That's lowercase I, and they have a bite that can put you to sleep. A giant bat is a very fast and somewhat dangerous monster. So the combination of them is pretty worrying, because the Homunculus might put you to sleep, and then the giant bat might bite you to death. I mean, we're with our AC at -3. I think we're probably fine, but this would be a combination. If I had less armor, or I was a non-combat character, this would definitely kill me. And we definitely don't want to fight them both at once. So maybe what we do here is actually come back into this room and just let them come into this doorway. Oh, and we get another creature. So I'm going to go ahead and see what this is. And it's a pony. So lowercase u, I don't know what it stands for. It stands for like ungulate or something. I don't know. But lowercase u is types of horses. And they come in 3 different levels. At least 3. I think it's 3. So it's pony, which is the weakest. They come horse, and then they come in warhorse. Horses and warhorses are much more dangerous. Ponies are much less dangerous. You can also tame them. You can actually make them peaceful too. Let's show that off. So if you have something in your inventory that a horse might like to eat, they're herbivores, you can actually tame them. So in this case, we actually have a lichen corpse, which should be something that the horse likes to eat. So we're going to throw the lichen corpse at them. So if you look here, just look in your inventory, take note. It's a V, lowercase v. So T, V, and we're going to throw it toward the horse, the pony. It says the pony devours a lichen corpse. And now it got highlighted. And if you look at it, we have a tame pony. You can also tame kittens and dogs, but they're carnivores, so you'll need something that they like to eat. So that would be primarily tripe rations. So now we have a tame pony. Looks like it might be fighting for us here. And that's this is a new type of O we haven't seen before. Take a look. It's a hill orc. So hill orcs are, so we saw various O's. We saw goblins. They're the weakest type of O. We saw hobgoblins, which are a little bit more powerful than goblins, but still not too much to worry about. And then we have hill orcs, which are probably the next tier. Hill orcs also come in large groups. Ruffled Holiness is a really good question. I'll get to that in a second. Hill orcs will come in fairly large groups. They can be pretty dangerous because they're in groups and because they have weapons. But again, at our current level, as a Valkyrie, I'm not too concerned about it. Ruffled Holiness asks if food rations tame anything. And no, but they can make things peaceful. So you can throw a food ration at a pony, and even they won't eat them, but it will make them peaceful. Now, I think dogs and cats, if they're hungry enough, might eat food rations. But it's not. I don't think it's guaranteed. I think they only eat it if they're starving. So I'm not actually 100% sure if you can tame cats and dogs with food rations, but I'm pretty sure you can't tame ponies or horses with food rations. Okay, so Hill Orc throws an Orcish Dagger. Orcish Dagger misses the pony, Orcish Dagger misses you. So if we use the colon command, you'll see there's an Orcish Dagger at our feet. We can pick that up. And again, I'm just staying in the doorway here so we don't get overwhelmed here. Unfortunately, the Orcish Dagger hits the pony. The pony is killed, so our pet was killed. And then the Hill Orc steps in. So we're in a spot here where we can fight things one at a time. So this is tactically really good. We're being a little safer than maybe I would even be in a normal game, because I think we're fairly strong at this point. But taking them one at a time in this doorway is definitely tactically advantageous, and we're likely to kill all these without any trouble. So we kill the Hill Orc. Now we have the Homunculus. This can put us to sleep, which is another reason to be sort of in the doorway when we're fighting this. We kill the Homunculus. That giant bat didn't show up. Let's go ahead and step over here. We'll take a look. There was 15 gold pieces we auto picked up. And then there is a Hill Orc corpse. All lowercase O's are safe to eat. Is that true? I think it is. So Hill Orcs are safe to eat. Oh no, that's not true. So urukai are not safe to eat, but hill orcs are safe to eat. There's an orcish helm. There's a pony corpse. Ponies are safe to eat, as you'd imagine. Go ahead and pick up the dagger and helm. As long as we're not burdened, might as well. Ponies are large, so they actually are quite a lot of food. But it was our pet, so I think eating it might be a bad idea. Yeah, so let's not eat the pet. Let's eat the hill orc. So yes. And here comes another hill orc. And as soon as we see it, we stop eating. We could eat it again. And the hill orc comes over, so now we have to fight it. And we kill it. And it drops something interesting. There's something pink in there, which is interesting. So 30 gold pieces. What else is here? There's a towel, which is what makes it pink. And there's 6 shuriken. So pick these up. A towel is a blindfold that has some other uses. So now we have both a blindfold and a towel. We probably don't need both. In fact, I'll probably hang on to the towel and get rid of the blindfold, because towels do everything a blindfold does, plus a few other things. And then here we have a normal goblin and that giant bat. I'm less worried now about the giant bat, now that we've taken out that homunculus and we're not going to be put to sleep. So hit S to let that hill orc come over here and I kill it. Oh, okay. So we found one of the other special levels here. This here looks like a iguana. Let's take a look. It is an iguana. So it's like a tier 3 lizard. Still not very dangerous. Not too concerned about that. And we have our first sleeping creature. So up here we have a lowercase L. A lowercase green L is a leprechaun. Your pet ate the other pet. Yes, the kitten ate the pony. So leprechauns start off sleeping. They're also very annoying. They will steal your gold and teleport away. So if we can keep that asleep, we would like to. You may have noticed or remembered the shrieker that we ran into. It shrieked. It would wake up everything that's sleeping, including any leprechauns. Let's go ahead and kill this iguana, and then we'll talk about the level that we're at here. Oh, interesting. The iguana had a flute. So there are a couple things that could be, both of which are pretty useful. Oh, okay. So looking just like an iguana, but being a lot more dangerous, this is a baby crocodile. It's a baby crocodile, so it's not super, super dangerous, but crocodiles in general do a lot of damage. In fact, let's just take a quick look, because this is another thing that could catch you off guard. Okay. Baby crocodiles only do D4 damage, so they're not a big deal. But crocodiles do 42 damage. So, and then they claw for 1d12. So a full-grown crocodile, and it looks identical. They're both these brown colons. It can definitely catch you off guard. So you have to be very careful about them. But baby crocodile, D4 damage, we're not too worried. So we kill it. And welcome to experience level 5. So that was one of our goals here. So early game goals: survive, check. Get to XP level 5, check. Get better AC, check. Explore all early levels, check. So we're doing pretty well in the early game goals here. And so you'll notice that this room looks a little different. There are, sorry, // there are statues of centaurs all around. There's like this room in the middle. So this is the Oracle level. I'm going to go ahead and just eat this iguana corpse while it's here. And I'm going to pick up this flute. Now the Oracle level is always the same in this version of NetHack, which is 3.6.6. There's going to be a room in the middle, and then there's the Oracle here. The Peaceful Oracle. So the Peaceful Oracle, you can get a consultation from the Oracle. So before the wiki, the Oracle was the only way to get advice from the game. So if you give the Oracle a little bit of money, they'll tell you a rumor that may or may not be true. If you give it's called a minor consultation. If you give the Oracle a lot of money, it's called a major consultation. And what the Oracle tells you is guaranteed to be true, rather. Guaranteed to be true. Also, you'll gain some experience points for a minor or major consultation. I think that's all I'm going to say about that. We're not going to use the Oracle. I would say the Oracle is useful for certain challenge runs. Like there's a pacifist conduct you can get if you can beat the entire game without killing anything. And in that case, you need other ways to get experience points. So the Oracle really helps out in a way to turn your money into experience points. Other than that, this is a guaranteed place where you can get 4 fountains. So you can see the Delphi. There are 4 fountains in this room. And that will come in handy pretty shortly, actually. Let's just finish exploring this. Another thing about the Oracle level is it can be a little bit more dangerous than every level before it. I should learn this from NetHack, who is a streamer who I highly recommend following if you haven't already. NetHack streams a lot of roguelikes. It looks like this leprechaun woke up. So let me pause for a second here. I have to deal with that. So the Oracle level spawns a larger number of neutral monsters. Not lawful, not chaotic. And that means you'll end up often finding more powerful things than you would find otherwise. Like that pony is an example of a neutral. Yeah, I'll find it for you. This. Tone also has a YouTube channel, which I would highly recommend. So same username on YouTube. Very good content. Yeah, so you'll find a larger number of things like ponies. Often you'll find giant ants. If you're really unlucky, you'll find soldier ants. You'll find things which are a lot more dangerous on the Oracle level than you will on levels before it. And somehow we woke up this leprechaun. I'm not actually sure how. So now we have to deal with it. So this leprechaun's going to come up to us. It's going to steal our gold, and it's going to teleport away. So we have some options here. And one, which is really kind of an interesting thing that we can do in NetHack, actually throw our gold. So I'm actually going to do a T for throw. What do you want to throw? I'm going to do a $sign to throw all our gold. I'm going to throw it in the opposite direction. You notice right away the leprechaun starts to run away from us. So it's not as interested with us as it was before because we no longer have gold. So now we're going to try and corner this guy. There's a goblin that comes in, throws an orcish dagger on us. We're not too worried about it. Still going to try and corner this leprechaun. Let me actually kill the goblin, and then we'll continue to try and get this leprechaun into the corner. All right, we really hit it once. It's trying to escape, and then it's going to escape. We'll get it back. So here you see there's a slime mold. So slime mold is the default name for your fruit. So if you're interested in sort of customizing your NetHack configuration, you can change the name of slime mold to anything like Bango or Slice of Pizza or like chili cheese dog or anything. You can just rename your fruit to whatever you want. But slime mold is the default. Slime molds are always good to eat, and they don't weigh a lot, so they're pretty good. Go and pick up this orcish dagger, and I guess we'll get our gold back. That's probably going to bring the leprechaun back. It's going to start coming after us again. I'm actually going to go back up toward the surface here. So now that we're at experience level 5, we have the ability to dip for Excalibur. So this is a strategy you wouldn't really know unless you studied the wiki. But this is one of the reasons why Valkyries are one of the easiest characters to get started with and to ascend with. There's an artifact weapon that you can easily get that's very strong and will serve you well through the end of the game. So, remember I told you about the extended command overview? Let's use that again. And what we're looking for is fountains. So there are 4 fountains right here on the Oracle. I tend to prefer to start with the earliest fountains and work my way up to the later fountains. And what we're going to do is we're going to dip our longsword in fountains and try and get Excalibur. We're dipping. Now, there are 2 things you have to do. There are 3 things that you need to fulfill this requirement. First is you need to be lawful. The second is you need to be experience level 5 or greater. And the third is you need a longsword. Valkyries start with a longsword. Actually, Valkyries and knights both start with longswords. So they have sort of a leg up on a lot of the other characters in that they have 2 of the 3 requirements from the beginning of the game. So we're going to go all the way back to level 1 to dip in that fountain. There are 2 reasons to do that. One is dangerous things can happen when you dip in fountains. And if a dangerous thing happens, we want to be able to have a place to run to. Like if we create dangerous things in dungeon level 5, we have to deal with those likely before we can move on to later dungeon levels. If we create something dangerous in level 1, we can run to dungeon level 2 and then we don't have to worry about it until the end of the game. The second reason is there's a very, very, very small chance that you get a wish when you dip in a fountain. But that chance is much greater the earlier the dungeon level that you're dipping in. So might as well start at the lowest level possible to maximize the chance that we get a wish, even though it's a very small chance to begin with. So we're just going to go all the way back to level 1. And I'm going to show you that travel command again. So we used it once before, but it's great for going to staircases. What you can do is you do shift _. It asks you, where do you want to travel to? Now we could just move the cursor around here, the highlight with our numpad, but you can also go to specific features. So if we did _ again, for instance, it's going to move our cursor directly to the feature that's represented by _, which is an altar. So _ is sort of a shortcut to move your travel cursor to an altar. Or _ less than is going to move our cursor to the staircase. So _ less than period is going to travel to the upstairs very, very quickly. Now this must be the werejackal. Let's take a look. And indeed it is. So were creatures are dangerous not from damage, until you get to some of the more powerful were creatures like werewolves. It's not going to be the damage that's dangerous. It's going to be that they can summon a lot of like creatures. So like were-jackals will summon a bunch of jackals, like maybe on the order of 4 to 6 of them, which might surround you. And secondly, they can inflict lycanthropy on you, which you don't want. That's a bad thing. So we can, I'm not terribly worried about this. I think what we'll do is throw some things at this were-jackal on the way up to try and soften it up. And we might be able to use this trap against it as well. So if it's going to try and move in sort of a straight line towards us, if it's not aware of this trap, it may actually step into it. So let's actually move diagonally up and to the left here. And then we want to throw some things at it. Let's actually throw some shurikens. We picked up this stack of shurikens here. So rather than just doing T, shuriken, right, T, shuriken, right, there's an easier way. If you have a stack of things you want to throw, you can quiver them. So that's Shift Q for quiver. We'll ask you, what do you want to ready? In this case, we want to ready the 6 shurikens, so it's Y. And then it says six shurikens at the ready. That means they're ready to throw, or in this case, fire. So rather than using T for throw, once you've quivered something, if that's arrows or if that's a thrown weapon, it doesn't matter, you press F for fire. And when you press F for fire, it's going to fire something out of your quiver. And then we're going to push to the right, and we're going to throw shurikens at this were-jackal. So the first one misses, second one hits, third one hits, fourth one misses. It doesn't say the jackal got trapped in that, but yeah, it looks like the were-jackal avoided and didn't get trapped by that bear trap, unfortunately. So now it's closed into melee range. We'll just swing our sword at it. We hit it, it misses, and then we kill it. Now, if you do fight a were creature in melee, just watch the messages. Remember, you can always do Control P. And you just want to watch out for the message, "You feel feverish." Because if you see that message, that means that you've been infected by lycanthropy, and you're going to need to deal with it. There's a question here from Gritting Gecko. Do you know if enemies regen if you damage them and leave the floor? I don't know. I don't think they do. I don't think anything changes if you're not on the current floor. I don't know if that's something that Andrea might be able to answer. There are certain creatures that will teleport to the upstairs and will heal. We'll see them later on. But as far as them regenerating on a floor if you're not there, I don't think anything changes if you're not on the current floor. Now, there is a trap here. We just sort of know that from memory. But unfortunately, NetHack does not do a very good job of telling you that there is a trap there. You wouldn't be able to see it because it's covered by that shuriken. So I do want to show you another extended command. And I know I'm overwhelming people with extended commands, but this is another useful one. So it's, again, the hash symbol to get, or pound, or number symbol to open up the extended command, and we're going to type terrain, or just start typing terrain. So there's 3 options here. You can see the map without monsters, objects, and traps. I don't know why you would need that exactly. Then there's known map without monsters or objects, and then there's known map without monsters. And what we want here is B. So we want to see the map without the monsters and objects. So if we hit B, showing known terrain and traps only, and you'll see that there's a trap there. So that's just a good way if you've covered a trap and you don't exactly remember where it is, you can use the terrain command to uncover it. And I think Andrea mentioned this before. We can actually walk above the trap here, or to really any side of it, and we can kick items off of it. So we can actually kick that shuriken off of the trap without getting trapped in it. And then we can step over it. And yeah, this version of NetHack will actually pick these things up automatically because we have them quivered. All right, so I think we'll continue going back up. I don't know why our kitten just stepped on that trap, but hopefully didn't get caught in it. Andrea confirms that monsters do slowly heal when you're not on the level, which is interesting. And then we enter dungeon level 2. It says, you remember this level as Vault. So that's what we annotated this level as. And when you enter the level, it just reminds you. We're going to go all the way to level 1. So again, I'm going to do underscore less than period. And that's going to quickly get us to the upstairs. Up, I'm going to go up again. And there's the fountain. We can again use the travel command here. There's not really any reasons not to use it on floors you've already explored because it will stop you. The game will stop you if you're traveling and you run into a monster or something else of interest. So we'll do underscore, and then we'll do left curly bracket, which matches the fountain, and period, just to go to the fountain. And a newt comes, so it actually stops us. Or actually, it didn't stop us, interestingly. But the kitten kills the newt and eats the newt. Now we run into a goblin, so we can kill that. There's an orcish helm here. We'll just let the kitten step on it. Looks like it's not cursed. So we'll try this on. Take off our current +1 helm. Try on, actually we have 2 of them. That one's +1. This one is +1. And this one's yeah. Sorry, those are both +0. So 1 total AC, and that one was +1, so 2 total AC. All right, so we can continue. If you do the travel command again, it's going to resume travel to where you were last. So we'll go to the fountain. And we're on dungeon level 1. So this is the first fountain we found. And now we're going to dip for Excalibur. There's no real secret here. It's another extended command. So we're going to do hash or pound D for dip. Enter. What do you want to dip? We want to dip A, which is our +1 longsword. And we dip into the fountain. Yes. It says your longsword rusts. So this will happen. It's a sort of a disadvantage. You're in the short term going to reduce the effectiveness of your longsword. But if you get Excalibur, it's repaired and you get a much better weapon. A feeling of loss comes over you. It just means that the random effect of dipping to this fountain is that it would uncurse the item that you would dip into the fountain. But because our longsword was already uncursed, nothing happened. You don't need to know all of these messages necessarily. The effects that matter are going to be pretty obvious. So again, dip A, Y. Your longsword rusts further, the fountain dries up. So first fountain, no luck. So we're going to go back to dungeon level 2 and continue to try to dip here. So that's underscore greater than period. And we have a green colon here. I'm just going to check what it is, because it could be something interesting. So it's //. It's just a gecko. So nothing terribly interesting, just not very dangerous. We're going to hit that. We're going to kill it. And then again, underscore, it's going to automatically highlight the last place you're traveling to. And then we can just hit the period just to travel there. We'll hit S a few times here to let our kitten catch up. Come on. All right, there it goes. And hit the greater than to go downstairs. So there's another fountain on this floor. So I can go use the travel command. So underscore left curly bracket to select the fountain, period. Here's another lichen. So we can just go ahead and hit that, kill it, underscore period. Kitten stops us, underscore period, and we get to the fountain. And we can do, again, the extended dip command here, A, yes. The longsword rusts completely, so we can't get any rust here, but we'll continue dipping. Dip, A, yes. Far below you see coins glistening in the water, so we found some coins, we can pick them up. That's one of the good effects, good consequences of dipping you can get. Dip, A, yes. Dip, A, yes. Dip, A, yes. So nothing's happening. And finally, and with some luck here, because sometimes it could take a really long time, and you can get bad things to happen first. From the murky depths, a hand reaches up to bless the sword. As the hand retreats, the fountain disappears. The fountain always disappears when you successfully dip for Excalibur. And if we look in our inventory now, our weapon in hand is now the Blessed Rust Proof, so no longer rusted, +1 Excalibur. So it keeps the same enchantment level. It gets Blessed, and it's Excalibur. So Excalibur is, we can look it up actually. In the wiki here. It does normal longsword damage, so D8 small, D12 large, but plus D10. So you're almost, your weapon damage is pretty much doubled. D8 plus D10, D12 plus D10 over a normal longsword. You get a plus D5 to hit bonus, which is small but fine. It does a decent amount of damage. It's not the most damage of any artifact weapon, but it's also not the least. And it's a decent amount of damage. Also, when you're wielding it, it gives you resistance from level drain, which is very, very, very useful. And it gives you automatic searching and improve searching. Actually, I didn't know this. But I did know automatic searching. So as you're walking around, it's actually going to search for traps, secret doors, things like that automatically. So it's going to really improve the speed of searching for things. Yeah, so it's a great weapon. I've ascended many, many times with Excalibur. You can use this weapon until the very end of the game, no problem. Yeah, so that's Excalibur. So I'm going to drop a couple of these Orcish helms, I think. This is what we call inventory management. Actually, do capital D, A for all types. And we're going to drop these Orcish helms. I'm going to drop this scimitar. We don't need it. And that's it. Just leave them here. We don't need them. And we're going to go down. That's weird. I think my colors might be a little messed up here. Because we can't see that. So let me just show you how to fix that quick. If you have this problem. So the Orcish helm that's on the top has a black color that's identical, nearly identical to the background. So if you have the problem in your terminal, and your terminal or putty might be different, but you can go to appearances here. Or let's see, profiles actually. And colors. And we're actually going to change right now the background and black are the same. So do we have a preset here? It doesn't really look like. So I'm going to change this black color to like a gray, I think. Let's do like let's try a 20% gray. Yeah, that's easier to see. We can just close that. I might play around with my colors a little bit offline after this stream. All right, so we're going to, I think the next thing to do, so we've accomplished all the early goals. There's one that was sort of hidden here. So survive, get to XP level 5, get better AC, explore the early levels, and then the last one is the hidden one here is get Excalibur. So we're on to mid-game goals. So the mid-game goals here, and we'll sort of add to this list, I think, as we go, because it's not going to be exhaustive. I would recommend explore dwarvish mines. Sorry, gnomish mines would be a mid-game goal. Get to Sokoban, which is another special level. And so I'm actually going to get us to the gnomish mines because we found it already. And I think that is actually a decent place to stop. I know a lot of people kind of joined late, and I apologize if you're hoping for more NetHack, but we sort of did all the early game stuff, and I think I want to do this in different tiers. So it's like early game, and then we're going to do mid game next. Well, let's get back to the gnomish mines here. So again, I just did underscore greater than period. Where's my, did I leave my, oh, there's my kitten. Down, underscore greater than period. Thank you so much. I am the cleric for the follow. Much appreciated. And actually, hey, Andrea, thank you so much for the bits. Much appreciated. I know, Andrea, that you don't need the over explanation of NetHack, but and I appreciate you for sticking around and giving additional information in chat. That's been very helpful. So there are 2 downstairs here. In fact, if we do the travel command, you'll see if I continually press sort of the shift period or the greater than symbol repeatedly, it's going to go back and forth between the 2. But this one should be the gnomish mines, if I recall correctly. So if I go down, if I actually do just shift down. Yep, so this is the gnomish mines. And immediately the kitten bites and kills a gnome. So this is going to be a dark level. It's going to be sort of a different procedurally generated layout. And I think this is where we're going to start next time. And I just missed some more bits. Thank you so much, Vipin3141. Very much appreciated. I really appreciate having the audience here. I will be putting these up on YouTube as well, which is linked down below in the description. And we're going to continue this game next Wednesday. So I stream NetHack every Wednesday. And for the next foreseeable future, however long this takes, I'll be doing this sort of over-explained ascending a Valkyrie NetHack streams. So I think next time we'll be doing mid-game. So We'll be doing the Gnomish Mines. We'll be doing maybe Sokoban, at least getting into Sokoban. And then we'll move on from there. So that sort of will get us to from the mid game to maybe mid-late game. We'll see how that goes.